Underdog Daily with the Badge Bros, Jon and Nez, and we are back after a brief hiatus, an All-Star game weekend. But yeah, it was Valentine's Day, and then it was Family Day north of the border there. So I was feeling a little sentimental, and the people, old John Boy with those who've been around for a long time know that on occasion I like to used to get a little sentimental off the top and tell you guys how appreciative I was of the community and the people that helped build this and all that fun stuff. How appreciative I am of my good friend Nez there. But today I am most appreciative of the Black and Yellow Dog app, the platform of the people, the Underdog Fantasy behind us, because they see the value in us. They see the value in this community. They see the value in their commitment to draft games going forward. And my partner and I, my good friend Nez here, have inked on the dotted line as of this morning, Nez, to continue to bring you guys Underdog, as the banner suggests, daily for another calendar year, my friend.
Yeah, very excited to have gotten that taken care of. And shout out to the chat, shout out to the members, to everybody that made us a thing, because that is what got us to this point. It's so true. It's not BS. It's very true. We say it all the time, so I know everybody hears a lot from us, but we're very appreciative of you guys, man. We are very, 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 very appreciative of you guys hanging out with us and making us a thing. So thanks again. Shout out to Underdog, and I'm excited for the future. Let's do this, dude.
Yeah, likewise, bro. Well said as always, Nez. I mean, it's been this awesome, organic, symbiotic relationship that has just naturally grown over the last 3 years. I mean, Pete, unabated, legendary upside, all these people, that just trusted in us, liked us from the jump, and then we're just like, hey, let's make this work. Like Rudman was one of our very first followers ever to our account and instantly reshared our account when it had like 8 viewers and 5 followers and was like, I like the branding of these guys. Like, never had to do that, never had to initiate that. And then the ball has just kept rolling and snowballed into live events. And yeah, man, just really excited for what the future holds here. We've been talking about some plans behind closed doors there. We got some cool stuff coming down the pipeline here, but we are definitely committed to bringing you guys this show a minimum of 3 to 5 times non-paywalled a week, and then an additional 1, 2, sometimes 3 paywall shows to go alongside that, and a commitment to be bringing on guests and best personalities in the business and stuff to go alongside them with us.
Yeah, well said. I was just looking back to see when exactly we started doing this thing, and I think it was in May of 2022. When the everything first got kicked off. Just looking back at some old DMs. So it's crazy, that it's been essentially 3 years basically of doing this thing, and just to think about how, like, to think back to what the app was like 3 years ago, and like the offerings and how much things have just like changed drastically. It's I mean, it's kind of mind-boggling how quickly things picked up and grew.
Dude, that's kind of crazy. I kind of got like little chills there when you said May 2022. We probably would have just been chatting baseball between me, you, and Numi, and
talking about who T-Box liked. Like, T-Box is on this guy.
Who's T-Box like?
You were like, dude, what do you do? I'm like, I mean, I just edit my wife's YouTube videos and manage a small 4-figure bankroll on Underdog. That's it.
That's what I asked you.
Yeah, you're like, what do you do? Like, are you working from home or what? Like, well, I'm kind of unemployed, but doing what I can to make my wife think that I'm valuable in this relationship.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, hilarious.
Oh, good shit, man. No, appreciative of you, Nez, and as you said, the community
Likewise, dude.
and Underdog, because this is a lot of fun, man. And I've really grown to. I mean, we talked about it from the jump that like we always love these games, we always love the platform, but I've really grown to love the content side of things, and I've really grown to love the community aspect, the building up the community when they win, the sharing in everybody's success, the getting to meet a large portion of them in person. I love the live events and that sort of thing. So can't wait to just continue doing that sort of stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Just shout out everybody, and shout out Underdog for believing in us and supporting us, seeing the value in us, seeing the value in our community, and how important everybody here involved is. It's not just us; it's everybody here that continues to play. They see the value in that, and how it's good for the growth of the company. So to many more years, and to
Yeah,
more
man.
success, and to everybody else's success in here as well. Let's keep it rolling.
Yeah, I guess two little peel back the curtain moments for me for the community right now, Nez, would be the fact that your guys's voices are always heard, and I love that we can be a vessel for that, because like the company, directly makes decisions based on the sickos within the deepest corners of the draft space that are spending the most time on the app. And it's heard, man. Like they're lurking in the chat, they're lurking on Twitter, they're lurking in the Discord, that sort of thing, and all the feedback is heard. So really proud of that, and just want to reiterate it for the chat that like, hey man, like it doesn't fall on deaf ears to just be a participant in this environment.
Yeah, yeah, no, I mean it's very true, man. Like we are able to kind of bring those opinions, bring those concerns to Underdog, and to know that things are being heard. Like I know the screenshot issue is a big thing right now. Like I know that is currently being worked on. So it's just like if we could just do it in the right way, I think we can make positive changes. As
Mhm.
much as we can, as much as you can. I do
Exactly.
feel strongly about that.
Yeah, bridge that gap, right? Bridge that gap in a big way. The other thing that I just wanted to say that, like, I don't even necessarily have to say, but just to articulate the dynamic and like how valued this community is and how valued what we're contributing is like this wasn't a negotiation. This wasn't a whatever. It was like we talked for 5 minutes and it was like, we love you guys. We love what you do. We love this dynamic between the two of us. Like, let's just make this thing work. Right. And that was very like, oh yeah, we're in a really good place that like draft games and all this sort of stuff. They're not concerned with, the big metrics because, we don't do mega huge views like these other guys that they're signing, right? They're
Mhm.
selling like last week they signed Bradley Beal, Nelly, Caleb Presley, and the Badge Bros. And it's like those things are
Yeah.
not created equal right there, but they see the value in it, and so do we. So I think that's
Mhm.
very cool.
Yeah, no, it made me feel confident for the future of the draft games for sure.
Absolutely. Okay, cool. Let's yeah, and this is a very good ad here from Sacrilegious that Hope and Numi literally MVPs of the draft game. Absolutely.
Seriously, anybody that complain like don't ever give those two shit. I swear to God, I will lose my mind. I will lose my mind. They are what is we owe so much to them. So
Mhm.
ask for the Venmo sometimes. Send them a DoorDash gift card or something. Give them some props or something because they can't get thanked enough. That is for real.
DoorDash gift card might give Numi some full circle PST though. If you know, you know.
Dude, he has like the gold pass or something. He does the monthly subscription for no fees. Like
That's
he's
awesome.
dialed.
He's got it figured out. The cheese ball coming in with a beautiful message here. Appreciate you, Corey, always dropping through. All right, Ness. We got a bit of the itch yesterday. We've always talked about this, how this show is a long con to come full circle to baseball every
Yep.
year here. But we are gonna do a bunch of sports this week. We got 3 shows planned as of right now, and then there'll probably be another paywall, whether it's No Strip Nez or whether it's myself. we'll do something else. So 4 shows from here on out through the rest of the week. We're going to do all baseball today, draft a couple dingers because I got the bug after we talked through it yesterday with Pete. If you're not a huge baseball person, it is a great starting point. You don't even necessarily have to watch the draft from yesterday. Just go to the first 20 minutes of that stream from yesterday, get your footing, and then you can come to this stream and learn the intricacies of the players, the sickos, the deep stuff, that sort of thing. We got one basketball game tonight. Hornets and Lakers. It is that makeup game for one of the snow games or whatever. That's why it's an island game. This evening, there are Luca specials for days in the pick'em lobbies for the people. We'll hit the 9-game basketball slate tomorrow, and then on Friday we'll hit the 9-game basketball slate. They're back-to-back 9-gamers, coupled with a big board draft there. So tons of stuff coming your guys' way this week. But right now we're starting with baseball because we got the itch from yesterday. I've been in the streets. Nez has been in the streets. And we got to go one layer deeper than we did yesterday because the only baseball we've done on the show thus far has been just, you and I chatting through drafts. So I want to do like a little bit of look at ADP. I want to know some of the players you like. And then I also want to do some of our Scroll the Eff Downs and some of our cheeky stuff like that. So, yeah, man. Maybe I just said a lot of words and I spoke. Like, just tell me what's on your mind associated with this, and then I'll tell you where I kind of wanted to surprise you with.
With baseball?
Yeah, with baseball.
Well, I mean, I'm learning, more and more about guys that like I'm sleeping on, and I'm trying to not get too stubborn and too take locked with certain players and whatnot. So I am open to, like I was talking with Dark Sheep the other day, realized that I'm way too light on Wilson Contreras. So started taking way more Wilson Contreras, pretty bullish on his outlook now. And I was late to that party. And I think I'm going to have a new record for most drafted player in any given best ball tournament, which is going to be tough because that record right now is set by, I think, Brandon Clark in the double dribble with 51%. But I think I am going to beat that this year for a 150 max for myself with Bubba Chandler if all things hold up.
All right, dude. Okay, so you got your late round Scroll the Eff Down pitcher target who doesn't get drafted every single time but can find his way into a rotation spot. I was listening to a little bit of Rates and Barrels yesterday, and they were talking, I guess it was at one of the NL previews there, NL Central preview, and they were talking about ways in which he could find his way into a rotation and the health of one other guy. I can't remember who they were referring to. And then the other one was, will they allow Bailey Falter to falter, basically, right? And
yeah.
And if they want to do away with that contract or not, because teams don't like, teams like the Pirates don't like DFAing guys when they got money on the books and they have like a known asset and they could probably get something for a left-hander. So those were kind of his two paths. So yeah, interesting.
I think one of the more tragic ways Bubba Chandler can find his way into the rotation is a Mitch Keller trade. I would hate it, but there was talk that they might trade him last season, and they could trade him this season as well. I would hate it. I love Mitch Keller, and I do think Mitch Keller on a smart organization could become like close to what we saw in 2023. There's been murmurs about that because it's like guaranteed money on the books, and wow, that's a way to get cheaper and kind of make a lateral move, and it would piss me off. It would piss me off, but like that, I do think that that's a sneaky possibility. Not that I'm obviously rooting for that. I think I'm just gonna let things play out.
Name a better combo than the Pirates having sick arms and getting rid of them prematurely because they don't want to commit. It's nuts, man. Like,
it's not.
Glass now, Cole, like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. One of the avenues in which I've been kind of thinking through or wanted to illustrate kind of like the value of the Scroll the Eff Downs, and I'm a little more weekly pilled and a little more finals pilled in terms of baseball than I ever had been before. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know if that's me evolving with the games or me thinking that, oh, the scoring is just like so much like football. I should start concentrating in that. But I've been really messing around with the Sweating Dingers weekly leaderboards and just kind of boxing around here. And I was actually building a thread this morning that I was going to try and get out before the show that I didn't get out yet, where I was just kind of going through the leaderboard and seeing where those isolated spike weeks come from. And to no one's surprise, the vast majority of pitcher spike weeks are basically all two-start weeks. It's like
Oh yeah. Yep.
points leagues in old school roto formats where it's like the value of a two-start pitcher is SP 20 on any given week relative to like the studs available. Yeah, so there's that avenue, right? The other thing that I've been looking through is I bet there is associated with that is just how random, in quotations, random the names are that show up for spikes. Okay. And I think it's like a super bull case for, one isolated spike week isn't going to like win you a league. You know what I mean? But if it happens to come in the playoffs, then it will, right? But I've just been thinking like, man, we got to get way more creative and deeper in the player pool with our correlation, because when you start going week by week and you see how deep the ADPs truly are for spike weeks, it's kind of like, oh my God, like why aren't we going even deeper in the player pool just from a uniqueness angle? Because things like this would never happen in other sports on our platform, right? Like it wouldn't happen in football that like ADP, like you can literally name it. It was like Jordan Mason. That was like it, who was like a dude who could be like thrust into the first or second round in football this year that came from the 18th, 19th, 20th in big board drafts, right? And he was probably not being drafted. Whereas every single isolated week that I was going through, there's like a 230 plus guy in the top 10, which is crazy. I don't know. What do you think with like that knowledge? And like, I'll jump through some of these weeks here, Nez, but I was just like, this is crazy. Like just to see that, like, it's not outlier games, it's outlier weeks.
Well, when you play dailies, I mean, you get all sorts of when you sweat baseball, play baseball, DFS, you sort of understand it. You're like, oh yeah, like it's wow. How am I possibly going to draft a winner today when there's 15 teams playing, 9 draftable bats per team? How am I possibly going to find the winner out of all this? So like it makes sense. There's just like there's so many different guys that can pop and put up spike weeks. So I mean, like it's not like it's not like blowing my mind necessarily.
Right.
Like like there's a lot of baseball players out there. So it kind of checks out.
Yeah, I think it'd be more surprising through the lens of like football bros coming to baseball to learn that knowledge. Maybe to you and I, it's just kind of like a given, right? But like I was thinking through when Pete was doing the draft yesterday and how like he wasn't like scrolling for stacks, or he wasn't like scrolling that deep because you're tethered to a band of like 10 through 15 picks in terms of ADP in NFL. Whereas like last night in one of my baseball drafts, I took 6 players with an ADP of 226 or higher.
Wow.
Not financial advice. Maybe don't do that at home, but like there's definitely like paths for those players and those profiles to spike or to be everyday at bats or that sort of thing, right? So those are the things that I was just kind of thinking through, where it was like, like I thought Garrett Crochet was like a perfect example of like last year, tail end of spring. He gets a little bit of steam that he could join the rotation. We knew his rates out of the bullpen, that sort of thing. So I was kind of like thinking through, and Garrett Crochet didn't end up being the guy you needed because they shut him down early and they managed his innings and then they traded him, like, or they were working on a trade to trade him, right? That sort of thing. And they needed to protect that asset on a losing baseball club. Like, I don't know what is like, who's a player that fits that profile, like potentially this year that like nobody's drafting. And my mind went to Clay Holmes. I was like, here's a guy that we know has elite strikeout rates in the bullpen. He has really good stuff. And now he's going to an organization that, has been really good at developing pitching in the Mets, and they're converting him into a starter. And Frankie Montas just opened up a roster spot for him, basically, or a rotation spot. Not that he wasn't necessarily going to be in there from the jump, but I don't know. I'm just like thinking through like how deep we can get in the player pool, and that was just one isolated example.
Yeah, I'm definitely like a little more skeptical on
Mhm.
Clay Holmes because like we've never seen him be a starter before.
True.
So that to me like has me a little skeptical, but
Mhm.
I do think that it's like a fun example of like guys that have gone to to different to different organizations. Like what kind of change could be necessary to have them either like at the beginning of the year, like you're saying, or like a change of scenery middle of the season that could potentially put them in a different spot. So
Mhm.
I hear you for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that was just kind of like the macro. I find it interesting. Like we can just kind of click on a random week and like you could just kind of go and look at the top 10 from a given week and like Seth Lugo, Eddie Rosario wasn't even on a baseball team. Like he was with the Nationals, then he was DFA'd, then all of a sudden he has a huge like spike week. Like Leody Taveras has a better week than Aaron Judge. Like look at this stretch from Judge. Oh my goodness. That was when he was the hottest dude on the planet thereafter. But like, yeah, it's just very interesting to just look through like, some of the names relative to the ADP in isolated weeks when they find spikes.
What I think is interesting going through this,
Yeah.
and maybe I don't know if other people find it as interesting. When you go, there's a lot more pitching at the top of these weekly spikes, in the early weeks than I think people realized or maybe cared to admit. Maybe it's just
Mm.
in the early weeks, offense did get off to a slow start last year, so maybe that's part of it. But people are so quick to not care about pitching, and I mean
Right.
the entire landscape doesn't give a shit about pitching right now,
Hmm.
and a lot of these pitchers are top scorers for a given week. So I mean, I really don't know exactly what to make of it. I just think that it's pretty, it's something. I don't think it's nothing that like, oh yeah, like pitchers, like there's some 100-point scores from pitching in there, man.
Right.
I don't
Actually, I'll
know.
float you this idea because it is kind of inherently random right now with some of these names that pop up. Like, obviously, there's good pitchers that pop up, but we imagine Luis Castillo had 2 starts that week. You imagine Zach Gallen had 2 starts
Oh
that
yeah.
week. But like, if I go to I'll just keep clicking random weeks here. Here, Nola and Sonny Gray, both with 100-point weeks, both top of scoring, both were top 35 SPs, like something like that kind of thing. But then Edward Cabrera is like right behind them. Like we know what Edward Cabrera can do from a rates perspective when things break right for him and he doesn't walk the world in a good park with 2 starts at home. That being said, is there any merit to us changing the format in the future? I can't remember who brought it up now on the Twitter thread for amendments there, but is there any merit to 2 start weeks not being scored cumulatively and rather simply the best start is taken from a week there?
100%.
Okay.
100%.
I think that would be like the make pitchers great again of our site.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I think it should be. I think it should be done.
Okay.
And if you need to increase pitching scoring, so that way
Yeah.
it's it can keep up a little bit, because you do, you then we are now, because you would have to do that across. It couldn't just be, if in my opinion, if I know how things work, that would have to be throughout the regular season too. That would be, there's no more 2 start weeks during the regular season. It's
Yeah.
best start. So you need to increase pitching scoring on top of that. Just kind of thinking out loud here, but
Mhm.
I think that would just be, that would make the pitching discussion so much more fun and so much less like, I don't know. Hopefully you get 2 starts.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. This is interesting. People are out saying no brainer rule change. That's the dream. Yeah, I mean, it's putting context to it. It's like, why would I spend up on pitcher when I can get a former Cy Young winner and last year's 101 at the starting pitcher in the 7th round right now. I don't know. Would that change the value of starting pitcher for you? Like, would that make Paul Skeens from a rates perspective, like because one start from him is just worth so much more than another player? Like, I guess the conversation is that enough to change the VORP perspective to
It
like,
should. It
yeah,
should.
okay,
It definitely should, especially depending on how, in this hypothetical, how you
hmm
change the how you change that as
hmm
far as like how to adjust the pitching scoring. If you put
yeah,
more weight on innings pitched versus Ks, maybe it's both. Regardless,
hmm
yeah, because it's less, luck.
right, yeah. Yeah, I mean, here's an interesting point from Viper here that like playing the dailies every day will make one a believer in pitching. Like, there's definitely some truth to that, but they're also very hard to separate, right? Like, it's really hard given the daily scoring because the daily scoring isn't the exact same scoring as the season long scoring in the Dinger here. So, like, it's really hard to separate. Like, you basically need any any 2 home run hitter will basically smash any pitcher like out of the water every single day. But then any 1 home run hitter, which there are plentiful of on every single slate, will basically be the mean projection for the highest scoring pitcher, if that made sense. So it's not weighted equally what they've obtained by pitching, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cool. Interesting. Yeah, I think that's just a good organic discussion to have. Anything else that you want to say? Like, I just kind of sprung this on you, Nez, before we did the kind of like position by position and scrolling around for some of our targets and that sort of thing that we can talk through. But anything else that kind of like jumps out to you? I can pop around weeks here. But anything else that kind of like caught your eye?
Yeah, dude. Aaron fucking Judge. Just sort
Yeah.
by ADP and look at the Aaron Judge scoring,
Um,
dude. Is it final ADP there?
Final ADP, Aaron
Look at
Judge.
look at these weeks, dude. What are we talking about? What are we talking about?
Yeah,
Holy
truly
shit!
incredible.
And he didn't even still like. He's just unbelievable, dude. He's so good, and I've been capitulating and taking Otani 101 because I don't want to have no Otani.
Yeah.
Man, I think I need to stick back to my guns if I'm going to keep running hot at the 1-1. Load up on some 14% Aaron Judge would be cool.
Yeah, I mean, if you're running it back on a conversation that we've had at nauseum for the last 3 years, and my bro science thesis of don't take the dude who's pitching, who's gonna get extra nights off because he's pitching, has increased injury risk, and may run less now that he's pitching. In theory, we should potentially be downgrading Otani to the point of which Aaron Judge jumps him, right?
Probably.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. All right, dude. All right. Um okay, let's jump back to Underdog here. Let's go into the rankings stuff. I, I kind of want to personally like do this exercise. I think it's good for everyone. But I selfishly wanted to do this exercise, Nez, because I did say something off the cuff yesterday where I said um this is the most out of sync and unaligned I believe you and I have been on a sport, on a contest thus far.
Yeah,
And
I think so.
I don't know if that's good, bad, or even true because we haven't gone through the lens of position by position and formulating strategies for drafts. I just want to go blanket perfect draft for you right now, where you're allocating pitching capital, where you're allocating infield capital, where you're allocating outfield capital.
Mm-hmm. I think like perfect draft, probably first 10 rounds would probably be 2 pitcher,
Yep.
4 infield, 4 outfield.
You
First
and
10
I probably
rounds.
aren't going to be that far off then. I think maybe some of the rounds and some of the targets might be different, but I
Mhm.
kind of I kind of like what you're telling me there. Like I haven't been taking any of the pitchers that were, rounds 3 and 4 yet, 2, 3, and 4 yet.
Mhm.
But because I've just liked the arms that I can start my staff with at like 5, 6, 7 or 6, 7, 8, something like that. But I do like the balance of that roster. Within that framework there, Nez, like where are you targeting? Are you always, trying to get outfield ahead of the outfield cliff? Are you getting ahead of the pitcher stuff before I am, or what do you like?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty. I really am outfield pilled, where I think you just have to capitulate to what the field is doing, and take these outfielders when everybody else is.
Okay.
Um, it, my teams feel best that way, and then knowing like I have some favorite late outfielders to take late, I think is the way to go, because at least the way I see it, these outfielders from like round 12 through 20 are all the same. Nobody has like strong season long ceilings, in my opinion, at least. There's a lot of guys that have very similar weekly range of outcomes, and a lot of these guys are just like stack partners, or who can see playing time, who has power, things like that. And
Mhm.
so I'm not like sweating getting outfield quantity in those rounds. That's where I'm getting, most of my pitching, because like, I mean, I'm just taking last round Bubba Chandler until I can't do it anymore. I mean,
Okay.
that's me. That's how I want to play this game. That's something I've identified. And in my opinion, knowing like who you like in the last round can heavily dictate, or should dictate, what you do before then. And you just kind of reverse engineer, knowing like, oh, I've got a pitcher in the back pocket, or there's a laid out infielder. I got my last infielder in my back pocket. And then you just kind of allocate around that last round darling. At least that's how I like to play it, man. I feel like that's
Mhm.
the most beneficial way to pay off your edge.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think that's maybe what's governing your strategy that's significantly different than mine, because I like the depth at infield late, and I love to just mix and match players that are stack partners in the last 2 rounds, primarily from the infield position. So I'm finishing my draft usually pitcher, infield, and usually or in some combination of that, and they're usually just rounding out stacks with like dudes who can score 800 to 1,000 underdog points, but have like a spiky profile for home runs and are tethered to someone I drafted earlier. We can use some isolated examples of that. Like I do the Christopher Morel thing in the last round. I do the Jake Cronenworth coupled with my Tatis teams. I do the Yonder Diaz as a one-off for the isolated pop, or with my Yonder teams. Yeah, like just that. Maybe that's the little wrinkle that is changing us this year, is you have an isolated, late round guy that you have already locked in your roster spot, whereas I'm way more fluid with that. So it's leading my constructions at the front end to be a little more versatile, I guess.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I'm still open to uh, getting different when it
Hmm.
comes to late round infield. I have taken a good bit of Morel.
Hmm.
I do kind of worry about Morel, just
Oh, for sure.
playing time wise, but
Oh yeah, they're the Rays
um,
still.
mhm.
Yep.
So yeah, I just would love to know more, because you made a comment, and I think you were slightly exaggerating. There's like, you
Yeah.
said there's multiple 1,200 point guys late in infield. I would love to see them. I would love to have them pointed out, because
Yeah.
I think late infield is stinky, dude.
Okay.
I think there's hidden gems at outfield, hidden gems at pitcher versus the infield. I think it's a bunch of mid, unless Christian Campbell gets a job in Boston, but I don't
Hmm.
think Boston has any idea what they're doing. So I'm gonna wait and see on that.
Yeah, the Christian Campbell one is an interesting spot just because everybody loves the ceiling of it, but like, where the hell is he going to play? Like, can you pivot him to play shortstop? I I don't know. I'm not sure that he's good enough defensively to do that. Like the sweet spot for him was to play second base, and then they bring in Bregman, and it's like, well, Bregman's going to play second base, and then all of a sudden now there's all this kerfuffle about Devers isn't giving up third base and this sort of thing, and then
He's
Christian,
adamant about it.
yeah, and then Tristan Cassis is doubling down because he wants to keep his job at fucking first base and DH. So like he's like, yeah, of course Rafi has to stay at third, right? Like so, yeah, it'll be interesting there. I think the Bregman signing was definitely not like nail in the coffin for Christian Campbell, but like it was made me a little more skittish on the potential outlook for him. But that being said, Trevor Story at shortstop isn't a beacon of health. And, I don't know if Bregman's got shortstop in him. He played in college, but I highly doubt at age 30, whatever he is, one now. Yeah. Okay. Nez, let's do the late and the scroll the F down guys for sure, because that's kind of our MO. That's kind of where we differentiate. Let's start having some of those conversations in a half second. Let's talk about some of your most drafted and targeted guys and just kind of go back and forth at positions right now. I think I can instantly put Bubba on this list. Maybe in terms of like ADP, we can kind of go with that. But I'm going to bring up my exposures on my phone here, and maybe we can just kind of talk through 2 or 3 at each position and maybe why kind of thing.
Yeah. I'll have to pull up my exposure. I guess, like you said, I could start with Bubba Chandler, I suppose. So yeah, I've only completed 22 frozen ropes and dingers. I have a lot of slow dingers going on and a lot of slow frozen ropes going on. Bubba Chandler, why I like him is because he just has very, very high upside. He was drafted in the second round in Henry Davis's draft. Mm-hmm. And he was essentially, so a little backstory here because we're talking about it. Henry Davis was essentially the 101 because he was what considered very the most pro ready of that, because if you remember, it was like Marcel Meyer. There were some other players there, but a lot of like high school guys. And Henry Davis was very like close to being pro ready, and he would sign under slot. So you're like, okay, let's get him up. We can get him up early, make an impact early, and we can sign him under slot. The reason they did that is because they could take Bubba Chandler in the second round because nobody thought they could sign him. He was a commit to Clemson to play football as a quarterback and play baseball. So the dude is already like a supreme athlete. The Pirates draft him, get him signed, and now he's risen through the minor leagues at a very, very high rate, and he's dirt nasty. Just an extremely good pitcher. They're not going to be able to keep him down. It would be a waste of time. It's going to be he's just going to be pounding on the door, and it will be a very, very big debut when he does eventually make the debut, and he's absolutely free. And because he's a minor league pitcher and he plays for the Pirates, so LOL Pirates, he's a pitcher. Nobody cares. I know this dude is good. I know he's good. Right. So I am gonna have a lot of them get mega leverage on the field. I'm just gonna let the cards fall as they may, and chips fall as they may. And I am very excited to have Bubba Chandler on a lot of my teams.
You said that was the 2021 draft? The
Henry Davis draft, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Henry Davis, first overall, Jack Leiter, Jackson Jobe behind it. There was the Merritt, Colton Cowser.
The Jack Leiter draft. Wow, they dodged a huge bullet there.
He might play more than Henry Davis this year.
They both suck, brother.
Nah, man, leave the light on for Henry Davis. Leave the light on for Henry Davis this year. Yeah, I was just going back at this and looking at Brady House. There's a guy whose name I haven't heard in a long time. That just kind of fell off. Kumar Rocker's on here. Huh. Jackson Merrill was in that. The other Max Muncy. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Obviously, I didn't know the quarterback at Clemson stuff. That's pretty cool. I like that. Mm-hmm. I love your affectionate use of the word dirt nasty in there as well. So I'm like, okay, here we go. You're selling me this pen on Bubba Chandler. Yeah, I mean the obvious caveat is there any reason to push him? Will they shut him down before it matters at the bitter end there? But yeah, that would be if everything's going bull case for him, it becomes less of a concern late kind of
So
thing.
one thing I will say is, people had these concerns about Skeens. They did
Oh yeah.
eventually shut down Skeens at like the very, very last week. But the thing with the Pirates is, yes, they may not have anything to play for, but what they do love to do is showcase the young guys in the future and let people know who they've got. And that kind of helps build positive sentiment for the team. Because like, look at these young guys. Like, people want to see the young guys play. Like, we've got Skeens under control. We're gonna have Bubba under control. So they do like to let these guys pitch because it's all they got. It's all they got.
Okay.
So
Yeah, no, well said there. Yeah, could Bubba start in the minors, be bullish, limit his innings, and then come up for a full playoffs run at the end there? Absolutely. Yeah, like I see that for sure. Cool.
I believe it.
Okay, cool. Nez, I guess we could start a little more. Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be tethered to ADP. It could just be tethered to your exposures and stuff like that. One guy that I've been gravitating towards, and I think it's like triple condom safety. And because I'm starting staffs a little bit later than I'm accustomed to, for whatever reason, I've been clicking on Aaron Nola's name a decent amount thus far. He's my second highest owned pitcher. He's my lowest in terms of ADP. My three highest owned pitchers as of right now: Aaron Nola, Brandon Pfaadt, and Tyler Glasnow. So those are kind of the three that I've been targeting, all with different ADP ranges associated to it. I don't know if the Nola stuff is just because I look at the box score and I go look at all these safe, cushy innings that he's pitched over the last couple of years. Maybe that isn't a good precursor or indicator of future success or future longevity. But for whatever reason, I find myself, if I miss out on this little pocket of a falling quote unquote ace, I for whatever reason gravitate to starting my staff as like kind of a cutoff point at Nola before the King, Pablo Lopez, that grouping. And I do typically like to start my staff with like Nola and then one of this next tier here, and then shoot the moon on Glasnow as my SP3. Thoughts on the strategy? Thoughts on any of those isolated targets that I brought up, in particular Glasnow and Nola?
I think Nola is like the best of both worlds for the Dinger, where you get longevity, or at least a history of longevity, knock on wood, and high upside with the 2-start weeks that can find themselves into 7 innings pitched, 9 Ks, things like that. Plays on a great team, so the win is almost guaranteed. Well, at least it wasn't always when Nola pitched. It seemed like they always actually used to hit pretty poorly when he would pitch, but the point stands. So I think, I love Chris Sale's upside, and I love that I just saw him be healthy last year, but he was not very healthy before that. So I can understand not loving Chris Sale, because it's like, cool. Like I want to see him do it again before I take him at this high of a pick. But I will say, I think Chris Sale, if he does stay healthy, would go much, much higher, but we don't know that. And that's why he goes where he goes. And I think that considered makes Nola a better pick than Sale. And I think Nola is a better pick than Snell as well. But both those guys, given that he has the same, weekly upside, given a 2-start week. And, we've seen the consistency and the longevity with Nola, and it's and Snell's got the potential 6-man rotation and other stuff. So yeah, I think Nola it just stands out for sure.
We also know the extreme volatility of Snell, right? It's like he can win you weeks or he can crater you weeks by not, we're not going to score negative with pitching on our platform. It's not like a roto style league where he's going to crush categories for you. So it's not as big a deal when things go sideways, but his spikes are huge and his valleys are huge, right? So in terms of looking for like a front end horse that just gives you like mean output week after week, that's kind of why I was gravitating to him. And my mindset when you were talking about both Sale and Snell is, aren't I just getting the exact same profile and ceiling plus risk upside in taking Glass now 4 rounds later?
Glass now to Sale.
And Snell.
The reason I'll say no is because like we literally have never seen Glass now go through a whole season healthy. Like we just saw Sale do it. Like that's impressive. That's impressive. We have literally never seen Glass now do that.
It's like 110 innings cap.
But if he's there in the finals, like then you gotta feel incredible. Gotta feel incredible.
Yeah, that's a fair point there. I guess this is a natural pivot before we get to a couple other targets, but a natural pivot in this same conversation and range is to talk about the ceiling of we've had the Dodgers 6-man rotation conversations already. They did go ahead and add Kershaw and put him on the DL there as well. I do think there is an overlooked name that could factor in at some point in Dustin May too that nobody's looking at or thinking about. But yeah, that's a completely different conversation. I want to ask you, and the chat is kind of leading me there too, as we're talking about like these high ceiling, big strikeout rate guys that are also quote unquote injury prone and coming off major injuries in terms of like the DeGroms, the Strider, and then if you want to keep scrolling to a much lesser extent, but I would throw in, Brandon Woodruff in the same conversation in terms of guys coming off of, scary injuries.
Yeah, I think just like isolating this conversation on Brandon Woodruff, I just think so the field is saying certain things about these pitchers, right? Basically saying like, we want the risk. We want the risk. We don't care. We'll take the risk. We want it. We think the upside's crazy. So we're going to take DeGrom, who hasn't pitched 100 innings since before COVID. We're going to take Tyler Glass now, who's literally never been healthy. And then there's Brandon Woodruff. And we're just like, no, there is no chance. There is no chance Brandon Woodruff will come back, be somewhat healthy and be productive. Like there's just no chance. And I just think that's a little ridiculous.
Well, you'll be happy to know here, Nez, that you see that big 41% at the top right there.
Nope. Can't see that for shit, brother, but I'll take your word for it.
Keep tacking on Brandon Woodruff at the tail end there. I mean, I'm a little scared because it was a shoulder injury and that sort of thing. But I do really like your analogy of how like the risk is baked into the price tags of all these other guys, but not of him, basically, because he's free.
Yeah, or it's just like baked in a little too much.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a good one from Crew here. It's like we don't have sample sizes with his injury. Like it's a complete mystery. And that's probably the scariest notion of it, right? But for 200 sure. ADP feels fine. Have you been fading this DeGrom, Strider tier, that sort of thing?
So yes, I will be fading DeGrom all season long. Strider, I am worried. I'm really worried about missing out on Spencer Strider's ADP. Spencer Strider's, I think, is a very, very interesting case where he elected to have Tommy John. It was not suggested. He like sought it out, did the research. He's just a very smart guy, like understands pitching. Like all these pitchers are like really smart. When it comes to like their arms and whatnot. Strider to me just like kind of stands out as somebody that is just very in tune with his body and his arm. Got this surgery, like elected for it. And like I think he can come back sooner than people think. And I trust him to be able to stay healthy. He
had Tommy John a couple years ago, and then this time it was like an elbow injury without a tear. And then he elected to have a surgery on it that they said he basically wouldn't necessarily have to have, right?
That's my understanding.
Yeah, that was my understanding too, but it was just piecing together like, things on the internet, basically. Bubba Chandler on this list is the clown meme. It's true.
You're gonna
It's
learn
true.
today, easy.
It's true. It's true. We'll keep it. We'll keep it.
He's like the same guy. You guys are gonna learn.
We'll keep it. We'll keep it consistent, and we'll add the ADP guys. Okay, Nez, if there anyone else in this range that you would like to add, discuss, or do you want to just share kind of some of your highest exposed guys as well?
Yeah, I think next up for me, highest owned guy, Michael King.
Okay, so are you King over Nola then?
I don't think I'm necessarily King over Nola.
Okay,
but I probably have done it a couple times.
okay.
But I think Michael King is disgusting.
Yeah, I think he's really nice too. Converted reliever. I mean, there's your bull case for Clay Holmes. Fuck the Jordan Hicks stuff. Just look at Michael King from 2 years ago, and there's your bull case for Clay Holmes. But that being said, Michael King, yeah, absolutely disgusting. It's nice to know that they're kind of in that organization it's really hard what took place over this offseason, but it is nice that they're kind of still in win now mode by doing the Pavetta thing and bringing in Jason Hayward and Connor Joe, and like they are trying to like piece together their win now window still, which is nice to see, because originally I thought him and Dylan Cease could be big trade candidates. Any concerns there?
No, they don't seem like. I think that's pretty much been put to rest as far as the trade scares for King and Cease. King, man, I mean, like, his K rates are insane. Back-to-back seasons of sub-3 ERA. It did it with the Yankees in 100 innings. Did it with the Padres, obviously, in 173 innings. The home park is fantastic.
Yep.
He's just a disgusting arm, and I think he's this cheap because he's Michael King, and I don't think people, he's not necessarily like name brand like some of these pitchers ahead of him.
Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. I think that's really well put. Who else you got on your list there?
Let me just see real quick. I just shared. I just looked at my exposure. So give me 1 second. If we're strictly talking pitchers.
Okay. No worries. Address what's going on.
Oh, this is an interesting one. I have a lot of Nestor Cortez.
Okay. As a nasty nectar, as I always fuck up the pronunciation.
Yes.
And say. Yeah, Nestor, talk me through it. ADP of 82 was part of that big trade in the offseason for Devin Williams. SP 82.
Okay, I was like, huh?
I know it by heart because I've been looking at it at the tail end of drafts a lot recently, and we looked at it yesterday. Yeah, dude, I like that one. I think it's a great late round click there. Yeah.
So Nestor in 2023 did not have a great year. Andy was hurt, maybe because he was hurt. He did not have his great year. He had like ERA of almost 5. The underlying stuff was fine, but he was just getting shelled. But 2024 3.77 ERA, 2022 2.44 ERA, 2021 2.9 ERA. And I bring up ERA because we normally don't care about ERA in this, but this is a hallmark of a good pitcher, and he goes mega late, and his K rates are not like sub 8. This is actually somebody that you can take with I think somewhat confidence. He pitched 170 innings last year, and all of his stuff plus stuff is above league average, which I think is pretty impressive. And I think the Brewers are a pretty damn sharp organization. And when you look at their rotation, man, if you think back to the Brewers rotation last year, it was like Freddie Peralta, Joe Ross sometimes, and like, can you name the other starters for the Brewers last year?
Aaron Ashby and like stuff like that, right?
It was a joke. It was a joke. They got some good innings out of guys, but they had no like tried and true starters. Nestor Cortez is like the most, I don't know, like quintessential starting pitcher that they now have in this rotation to go alongside to go alongside Freddie Peralta. Obviously, it's like he's not going to lose his spot in the rotation, but I just don't think people like understand that this dude is like I think he's going to play. I think he's going to make all of his starts.
Mm-hmm.
Just feels really, really cheap for like guys at his range. I think he just was sort of forgotten.
Do you remember? Yeah, no respect for Colin Ray. Do you remember his? Aaron Savali too before the trade. Do you remember that? Now I'm just like nasty and saying nectar in my mind over and over again. Do you remember Nestor Cortez ADP the previous year?
It was pretty high.
Yeah. Huh.
Maybe not off the 60 inning year. But the year that he did only throw 60 innings, he was a huge landmine, I'm pretty sure, for a lot of people.
Yeah, I was just trying to remember there. Easy brought up an interesting point there. This is kind of like anecdotal and ball knower that it's like, crafty lefty who mixes
100%.
up his delivery and that sort of thing, getting rid of the short porch, like just a new look for him could bode really well. New league, new division. Yeah,
100%.
Good shout there. Yeah, and like, man, DL Hall just can't stay healthy. Yeah.
Yeah, they almost had one there with that trade.
There you go. He says exactly what I was going to. Cool. There was one more in the chat there that I just wanted to hit on real quick. I think it was Best Ball Viper. He was asking if Ronaldo Lopez is a converted reliever. Ronaldo Lopez was like a very highly touted starting pitching prospect. It was him and Lucas Giolito who were supposed to set the world on fire and were traded from the Nationals to the White Sox and that sort of thing. And then they just couldn't find the strike zone. So they started, they were basically starters their whole career and then had to pivot to be a reliever because he looked like he lost that juice and then went back and became a starter again with Atlanta, and Atlanta found that magic. So he was like a starter, then I don't know. Yeah. Starter, failed starter, then a reliever for like 2 years and then back to being a starter.
And then of course Atlanta was like, oh yeah, like we can make you good. And
we can make you great now. Yeah. Anyone else that you like to add to a couple good ones from Justin in the chat that we can touch on as well there. But yeah, is there anyone else of the high exposure threshold that you want to add to this list?
I have a lot of Grayson Rodriguez.
Okay.
That's, I mean, I don't think there's a whole lot to say about Grayson other than the fact that injuries have sort of derailed his seasons thus far. Mm-hmm. And I just think his upside should be up there with, in my opinion, like the Michael Kings and guys like that. So I think when you get healthy Grayson, mm-hmm. you can see Grayson be absolute filth.
Sounds great, man.
Yeah. I just think he's a little too cheap.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really good shout for a good baseball team too. And I mean, like they're going to ride without Corbin Burns now, they're going to ride with him as like, one of their front end horses. Right. And they're going to go by way as good as Grayson goes. So he's going to get every opportunity in the world. And, former 101 pitching prospect, right? Like, mm-hmm. Yeah. Two more in the chat that were really good. Thoughts on Sandy Alcantara and thoughts on Shane McClanahan. So, yeah.
Sandy for me is like a 0% draft guy.
Okay.
It sucks, but Sandy had a pretty heavy fall off, and maybe the fall off is what is because he was injured, and that's what led to the surgeries. Man, I just he just is such a volume guy, and now you add a surgery to a guy that has not pitched in a year, and he relies on the volume to go out and to draft him where he goes, which is like not cheap for a guy given these factors. I'm not going to have any Sandy.
Yeah, the knocks on Sandy were always a little bit volume merchant in terms of like the year that he won the Cy and stuff like that. It was like the following year was like everyone was like, oh, biggest regression candidate in baseball, period. Like that was like the whole narrative with him, right? Where it was like, ground balls and couldn't maintain like the strikeout rate with the quality of stuff that he had and couldn't back it up with that many innings again kind of deal. So
Yep.
yeah, I mean, I want to see it. Like I'm really interested to see it in spring. Like we talked about yesterday about the volatility of basically um like we basically talked about like the volatility of starting pitcher pushing and driving draft stock as spring training rolls around because we will see the biggest swings out of anyone on the purple column on Underdog, and he could very well be one if he comes out and he goes like touch 99, sitting 95 in the fourth inning of his third start. Yeah, I'm gonna start buying a little bit there.
That would definitely make me intrigued.
Yeah. Any Bieber, that's a good one for Scroll the Eff Down in the last round there. Shane Bieber, working back from an injury as well. He's going to be featured, and I saw in the little preview video of the Slab Lab content that Underdog's putting out with Dallas Braden. That looks really cool. So I'd be intrigued to watch that and see, his progression.
I won't have any Bieber.
Okay.
But just real quick too, Justin also just asked about Shane McClanahan. I will have Shane McClanahan.
Sure, yeah.
I will be drafting Shane McClanahan.
Yeah, you said
hoping that the innings line up.
Yeah. Well, you said yesterday that they basically have already penciled him in for opening day starter, and yeah.
Oh, they when the media asked him about it, there's like, oh, it's Shane McClanahan. Like, why are you even asking me? Like they were so confident and like assured that it's Shane McClanahan. I mean, he's going to come back and hopefully look phenomenal. And when he does, everyone's going to be like, ah, shit. Like,
yeah, right.
Like when he was going where all off season, son of a bitch. Like, what was I doing?
Yeah. Yeah. On a per start basis, he is up there with the big nasty guys. But I mean, he's got a little bit of glass now in him too, right? Where it's like we haven't seen it. We haven't seen him put together that full year. We haven't seen him put together that volume. So that does give everybody pause, right? It is a very interesting range of starting pitcher to have the conversation of those two juxtaposed to one another there. Joe Ryan, I did see a little note yesterday that he's a little bit behind. Is he not? Okay, maybe not. Maybe not. Forget it. Strike it from the record. Anyone else of the Scroll the Eff Down variety to add to this list? I'm seeing some love for Tanner Houck in the chat. Not exactly a Scroll the Eff Down, but any names that you've been getting to? One that I've been clicking, but now I'm kind of a little scared about the ballpark. It being like, an undersized PCL kind of park that's going to be warmer and that sort of thing than Oakland was. Oakland, you always had the big ass Coliseum and tons of foul territory. But I've been clicking Luis Severino because he's going to have every opportunity in the world. Some of the other ones that I've clicked on, Reese Olson and Clay Holmes, who we've talked about. Anyone else down here that you like?
Not particularly, but I am holding out hope that Kyle Harrison can be meaningful in the playoffs, but it seems like his rotation spot is extremely on the bubble with Birdsong there. But
yeah, they like what they got out of Birdsong last year. The changeup's nice with Birdsong.
Yeah, I guess the bull case with Harrison is maybe Birdsong, falls in and out of the rotation. Can Verlander really stay healthy and be there all season long? I think Kyle Harrison did not have a great rookie season objectively. I do think that there is a ceiling with Kyle Harrison, and maybe it's just something I'm going to get to in dailies, off and on whenever he's at home again in a good matchup. But I do think that there is a sneaky ceiling there with Kyle Harrison, but that's about it. And Kumar Rocker too, but he needs a spot, but Jacob deGrom is kind of holding him out of the rotation. Kumar Rocker is legit. He is a very good pitcher. And I think what makes Rocker different than Leiter, because those guys, graduated in the same class. Rocker missed a year because of his health. Rocker's slider is crazy, crazy slider for Rocker, and just having that like swing and miss, that out pitch, it's everything, and it pairs really well with his fastball. So Rocker, I think, is worth a late round pick as well.
Yeah, that rotation right now be interesting to see if he can break camp with them. Like Evaldi, DeGrom, John Gray, Tyler Mahle, kind of like penciled in, and then I guess it would be Rocker, but then they doesn't give them a lefty, so be interesting to see. But yeah, he's definitely going to get some cracks. That he could definitely be their at least their third best starter, maybe even their second best starter when it's all said and done.
Yeah, that was so smart for them to draft him.
Love it. Yeah, what something happened with that? Like the Mets drafted him and then they traded him right away, or they swapped or something.
Didn't they considered him a failed physical, and then didn't sign him, and they got a comp pick.
Right, that's what happened. Good memory, Nez. One more that I'll throw out: Clark Schmidt. Like Clark Schmidt pitched decently well in the postseason last year. You have some vacated rotation spots. There he was their third starter in the playoffs, which was like kind of just interesting that they trusted him with that role. Missed half of last year, decent strikeout rates, that sort of thing. Eno's really high on him in his rankings, so that one kind of perked my attention as a dude who's going mainly undrafted. But here's the Shane Bieber one. Have you clicked any like of the fun old guy names? Like, have you clicked JV or clicked Max Scherzer, anything like that?
And I won't.
Okay.
Too old and too hurt. If they were like doing it, and it's just like, when will they fall off? I would make that bet. But like, they've been hurt and they're old, can't stay healthy. Might be it for them.
What about a dude who's been not as good but is old but is moving teams in Charlie Morton?
I think he kind of had a pretty concerning fall off last year.
Okay.
And
fastball velo down. She's so reliant on the curveball, which is fine when it's as nasty as it is.
It's still biting, but no, he took a pretty significant step back for Atlanta. 41 years old. Yeah, I have concerns about that.
Okay. Any love for like some of the old guys, not old guys, young guys that we once considered like emerging stars? Like Yuri Perez was like a big drafted guy last year, then had the TJ, could pitch, half of the year this year and the back end half. Or like Edward Cabrera was like a guy that people fell in love with his profile back in the day. And it's just like, man, if he mitigates the walks, the stuff is there, like that sort of thing. Jose Soriano, we used to play him all the time in the dailies because of the strikeout rate. Like, will you get to anything like this all the way down?
I haven't yet. I have not yet. But man, if we got some good news on Yuri, that'd be phenomenal. But I haven't seen anything bullish about his health, because there's this guy named Yuri Perez season on Twitter, and he posts so goddamn much, and you can't find anything on Yuri Perez news because all you see is Yuri Perez season just shit posting nonstop. It looks like he had a bullpen session, so so he did have a bullpen session, but
I think it's all-star break or something, so it'd be like half of a season from him.
Yeah, no shot.
Yeah. Okay.
No shot.
Yeah, see, I think Jose Soriano might be a decent click. I think that one's fine. Julian agreement. Okay,
he's just an interesting profile. Jose. He was awesome last year. He was awesome last year, but I just don't think the strikeout upside is there. And playing in the Angels, playing for the Angels, man, that home park hits very well. So
yeah, when the weather warms up, it is one of those like sneaky hitting environments later in the season for sure. Yeah, Brian Bello, a guy that we've talked about a lot on this show, especially through the daily lens that we liked back in the day. I'll ask you two last ones here, Nez, because we could do this all day and we still haven't switched positions.
Nope.
Two players that got big time love last year, Reed Detmers and Jordan Hicks. Is there any we could buy back in kind of thing here?
Ooh.
Like
Let me see what
Jordan
my
Hicks was nasty for 3 months, and then it fell off a cliff as his arm tailed off as a first-time starter.
Reed. I'm not taking the shots on Reed, but
Mm-hmm.
man, there is a chance that Reed Detmers just like explodes and like, wow, he figured it out, and he's like, he's keeping up the K rates, and he's just an ace. Like
Feels like we've said that for
could
like
happen.
3 straight years.
That could happen. That could happen.
Well, I mean, we've seen it in his bag, like the no hitters and like these games where he goes like 2 outs away from another no hitter. Like he went so deep in these ball games. He flashes these ceilings, man.
Yeah, but I won't be there for it. I won't be there for it.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to get some fun names. You Darvish as a dusty old?
No, thank you.
No, thank you. Dude, this is a sick comp from Sherlock. B. Detmers is just Nick Pivetta with better stuff from the left side. Like, yeah.
Can you? I mean, with better stuff.
Mm-hmm.
With better stuff. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Like Pivetta's done it so many seasons. Come on, man.
Right. Davis likes some Mad Max. Got to get some Mad Max in your life. Easy doubling down on the notion that the dusty olds for Toronto pitching are 2 rounds too cheap.
Perhaps.
Nez says he's so coy. All right, let's get rid of the baseball or with the pitcher list here. Let's talk about infielder. We will just give our 3 highest exposed, and that'll kind of lead us in the direction, and then we could do some scroll the F downs. You got them pulled up, or you want me to start?
Scroll the Eff Downs at infield?
No, 3 highest exposed first.
Okay, 3 highest exposed infield. Yeah, this is easy because number 1 for me is Junior, and this is like everybody's favorite darling,
nice,
who is getting more and more expensive as drafts rage on. 43% Junior Caminero. This dude's a monster, man. Just an absolute freak.
Did you see him pimp the fuck out of that home run?
Of course.
Oh my god,
of course.
Dude. Was it the Dominican League final? Is that what it was?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Dominican League final, guys. Look up the video on YouTube. He crushes this thing to dead center off the scoreboard after he was like chirping with another guy and the bench was giving it to him, and he just nukes this thing, and then he takes the longest, slowest trip around the bases while flexing and being an absolute dude. And he's only awesome. Like 20 years old.
yeah, he's the man. He's the man. Just so much power. So much power, dude. It's crazy. This kid is the absolute truth, and playing in this Steinbrenner Yankee Stadium field down in the tropics there is man, it could be fireworks for Junior. The one thing that, and this isn't really, I'm not like factoring this in too much, the fact that they're outside in that area, are they going to get like a ton of rain delays and a ton of like,
I don't know.
We need Kevin. We should get Kevin Roth on the show to talk about that. That actually
just to yell at him for not updating the yellow and orange earlier in the morning for us.
You pussy! Where's your balls, man? Have a take.
Yeah, have a take, dude. Don't wait for the radars to tell you. We need to know this information when we're drafting in the morning.
Yeah, don't you understand? He probably has no idea that we exist, though. So that would probably help him. Maybe that would make him want to get a little more bullish.
There you go. Maybe we just need to create roto grinders, but for underdog only players with the information that is specific to the time frame in which we're drafting, i.e. like the night before and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the bat speed stuff for Junior jumps a little bit. Yeah, one thing I can guarantee though, Nez with Tampa Bay, is that there will be more rain delays this year than last year. How about that? That I can guarantee.
How do you know? How do you possibly know that?
I love this notion though that when the liquidity in the pool comes in as baseball's on TV during spring training and people get more comfortable with the player pool, they watch us, they watch Stacking Dingers and stuff like that. I do think it's really easy to pinpoint him and Jason Dominguez as future risers, because if you see one launch job in spring training, people are going to go gaga over it and they're going to just start smashing his name.
Yep. Yeah, it's gonna be a steam fest, especially for Dominguez because he's an outfielder and is a Yankee.
Mm-hmm. Okay, next one up for you in terms of exposures that you're like.
I mean, you could guess my next three.
O'Neill Cruz.
One of them. Well, actually, they're all tied. So yes.
Isak Paredes.
Yes.
Give me a clue.
Lefty.
Give me a ADP range.
100-ish.
100-ish lefty. 100-ish.
First baseman.
Lefty. Oh, you're not going back to the well where lefty power goes to die with Josh Naylor?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm really concerned about Josh Naylor this season.
Couldn't be less concerned.
Well,
you're worried about park factors for this guy? Have you seen him?
Good Canadian kid. He's nails. He hits tanks. I'm always concerned with a dude coming off of a career year where we can pinpoint potentially why there was a career year in a park change for him, and now he's going to the worst left-handed.
That is so
part.
That's so not why he had the career year. Not even close to why he had
the wind tunnel. The wind tunnel.
Not even close.
Out to right.
Close. Not even close. The dude was always good. The difference was
he was always good.
The difference was he became an everyday player.
That's true. All right, no more platooning. It just scares me that they see this. They see his career year and they go, yeah, we can get that same production from Carlos Santana, and just like get rid of him and instantly bring back Carlos Santana.
That's not what they're doing. Carlos Santana is a platoon. He's going to hit from the right side of the plate
only.
Particularly against lefties, and then Manzardo is going to play, and then he'll hit against righties. Okay. They're platooning, and they had Horowitz, and they're like, "Oh yeah, the Pirates will want Horowitz because they're idiots." So we can sign Santana, platoon Manzardo. We can plan platoon Manzardo, and then get rid of Horowitz for Luis Ortiz.
Okay, all right, okay. I am a little scared about a left-handed power guy going to the worst place for left-handed power, though. But Jock Peterson made it work, and Josh Naylor's better than Jock Peterson. So let's see what happens. I won't fault you. I won't fight you on any of these. The Isak Paredes, pull side power going to the best place in the world other than Boston for that pull side power into the Crawford boxes seems good. The O'Neill Cruz one seems really good for just the comps that we made last year of like, why are we playing the premium for Ellie when you can go down and get the same kind of like power speed profile through O'Neill Cruz? Like, we just need a healthy year of him. So making that bet makes a lot of sense for stealing output.
Yeah, I mean, you're not obviously going to get the steals with Cruz as much as Ellie, of course.
True.
But
yeah,
I don't know, guys. I'm really shocked that like people are not into Josh Naylor. Like, I mean, if you think the projections are not counting the fact that he's playing in Arizona, then I guess then he's a good fade. But I mean, 3 straight seasons of 450 slugging, every projection system that has him 450, 460. I don't know, guys. I'm just simply not. I'm just like not seeing it.
Yeah. Is there anything for division change too? Like, it's a much harder division to hit in.
I think that's fair, but like, I just think we're looking for reasons here. I just don't quite see it at all.
Yeah, I put everybody on to looking for reasons opposed to just saying yes. So yeah,
and that's fair. It's okay to have the discussion. I just obviously disagree because I have him in the 34% here. And yeah.
They only got 140 games for him across these models and stuff like that. Yeah, 22, 23, 22 home runs. Counting stats will be up in the middle of that lineup. That team plays so much better at home too. Yeah, 7 bags across the board. Yeah, that
Speedster.
450. Well, yeah,
250 speedster.
that 450 across the board over the last 3 years in terms of slug. All right. All right. Good Canadian kid.
It's fine. It's fine. I'll be here. It's fine.
Desi, I mean, you can poke holes in it for days. For my, I got 4 because there's 2 at 40% or 39%, and then there's 2 at 35% right now. Do you want to play the guessing game alongside me?
I mean, I'm not sure like where you're at on these infielders right now. So you might have to just like lay it out.
Okay. Here, how about I'll give you a clue. One is a stacking partner with one of the guys in which you've listed and is currently free in the last round, and I've been a perennial hype man for. Christopher Morel, my highest owned infielder as of right now. Same sort of idea with you with the park factor changes and this sort of thing. They give he's still young, and they give him every reason in the world to hit in the middle of that order every single day. This next one is a touching tribute to our fallen soldier, Numi 2, and is a player in which I was perennially out on at previous price tags, but now I just see the ceiling at this price point, and I'm going for it, dude.
Royce. Yeah, I thought it was Royce, and then for whatever reason I was thinking Correa at the very end, but yeah.
Yeah, Correa's free too to stack with him. So I've been drafting a lot of Royce there. I mean, he hasn't been able to put it together ever, but like the rates that we see from him in those 40 game samples, I mean, he's just otherworldly. And then my Colorado Fever strikes. I got McMahon and Tolia kind of up here a little bit, but Tolia is behind one other player. And I was workshopping a tweet on this player. He's one of your favorite players. I love Mike Trout. I can be a Mike Trout bull. I can place Mike Trout in our rankings. I won't fight you. I won't fight anyone if they want to push Mike Trout ahead of Ian Happ, Oatmeal Reynolds, Michael Harris, Spencer Steer, Riley Green. If you want to be the guy who goes Mike Trout bull and goes ahead of that, the reason I personally right now cannot be the Mike Trout bull is there is a player in the infield who goes right behind Mike Trout that I pull over every single time. And his name is Corey Seager, Nez.
Yeah.
Corey Seager is my 4th round target over and over and over again.
Yeah, I had 30% Corey Seager last year. And it was, of course, like the basement year for the Rangers, banged up. Everybody played like shit. But Corey Seager on like a per plate appearance basis, one of the best players on the platform.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah. He's the spike weeks with Corey Seager, it's hard to find elsewhere. I love it, man.
He's just so good, man. It's like what did the projections have him slugging for like 500? I mean, yes, they all have him slugging over 500.
That's crazy.
That's not crazy. Like, I just want everybody to understand. I know there's a lot of baseball fans in the chat that know the game. That's not normal. That's not normal.
I love how it
was different.
A down year last year, and he missed games and whatnot, and he's missed games in back-to-back years there. He had some wrist injury and that sort of thing, but the 512 was like a down year last year. You know what I mean? Like,
it's crazy, man. It's crazy how good this dude is. Just otherworldly. Like John, straight up. this year,
Mm-hmm.
would you rather have, and again, straight up, Francisco Lindor or Corey Seager?
If I knew, so obviously I really like the lineup for Lindor. I like the upgrades they've made to the team. The thing, if I knew 100%, because there is the caveat here that he's banged up right now, and we're not sure we're getting a full spring from him, and could be delayed, and he could be an IL candidate for the first week or two of the season, and then he's kind of fully back. If I knew I was getting 100, and I'm not even going to say 150, I'm not going to say 140, nothing outlandish. If I was going to get 125 games from Corey Seager, I would take him over Francisco Lindor getting 148.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think the price tags are probably appropriate, but if we get bullish news in spring, Corey Seager's swinging, he plays in a couple games, he's all signs point to opening day Corey Seager, I'd roll the dice on that and just bet that one straight up 1v1.
I agree. Yeah. I agree 100%.
Here's a good one from Billy Jones there. His favorite unique stack to manipulate ADP right now, building with the first round outfielder and then Langford, Seager, Adolis, Simeon. Yeah, not going to be around for a long time, That one's not going to be a long time because Seager pushing up closer to Adolis now. Yeah.
Trying to find an update on Seager here.
Easy has a proprietary spike score model. Trout 4, Seager 6 in entire MLB. All right. Proprietary model is smoking.
It checks out to me.
Checks out. All right, Nez, you wanted to know where all these 1,100 point, 1,200 point outfielders or infielders at the back are. And you're right. It's hyperbole. They don't exist. But, I think there's definitely some spiky profiles. There's definitely some ISO / home run that you can find late that I can tell myself a story on that's a little different. Rhys Hoskins is a guy I've been clicking with my Yelich stuff. Obviously that ballpark favors left-handed power to right-handed power, but just a guy that I've been getting to a little bit in terms of stacking. You hit on the Christian Campbell upside earlier there if he can lock down second base. Colt Keith, the Detroit stack of all the Detroit pieces outside of Riley Green and the Riley Green and Kerry Bonds, Kerry Carpenter's stack is like really cheap at the back end there. So like if you want to do like former 101 Spencer Torkelson plus Colt Keith or plus Matt Vierling or something at the back end, not crazy. Jimenez I've added to a couple stacks, but these are primarily stack only guys. You're right. But I do see ceiling with like the Oakland guys, like both 20 home run potential for Soderstrom and Shea Bangliers. There's just like a lot of guys that I'm really comfortable clicking that I'm not looking for, this guy to be the guy and break the slate for me. But I think he can break an isolated week for me or break a playoff week for me, that sort of thing, Yeah, I mean, I can keep rattling names, but I'd like to hear some from you.
Yeah, I think for me back here, the Oakland guys are big time up there for me with Bangliers and Soderstrom. And I even threw out Jacob Wilson, who I do actually think can be drafted, but if they don't hit more than 10 home runs, I think for a lot of people, they're just like not even in consideration. But I don't know, man. I think Jacob Wilson is a really skilled player and has a chance to play a ton. And, I just don't know that you can say that necessarily about all these guys. And I do think that he's a pretty skilled bat, like I said, and with a park upgrade. So I'm leaving the light on for Jacob Wilson. Maybe he just will be a dailies only guy. But to go to somebody that I am drafting at high frequency, Yainer Diaz for the Astros. He's going to play a ton because he's going to play DH quite a bit. Decent lineup, Crawford boxes at home, and can play. Yainer is just one of those guys that if I am drafting late, he's 100% going to be in my lineup. If I'm drafting infield late, that is it's Yainer for me. And then here's a sneaky one for you, John.
Okay.
One that I have not taken yet, but I draft him a lot in the dailies. Logan O'Hoppe.
Oh yeah, why not?
If you're building out Angel stacks, get a little O'Hoppe in there for a low owned pairing for a third or fourth Angel with that nice home park, and he can play.
Yeah, 20 plus home runs. I mean, like, we don't love catchers in terms of like at bats and stuff like that. But like, dude, hard hit rates with him were legit. Hit some big home runs last year. He was a coveted trade acquisition piece. They're going to give him every opportunity to hit, anywhere between 4th and 6th on each given day. So yeah, that's a pretty good one.
Yeah, just throwing it out there. So that's that's like really it for me, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah, like I'm open to suggestions for more options of who to mix and match there, but it's mostly Yiner and the A's. I don't know that I'm willing to buy what we saw from Tyler Fitzgerald last year. I see him down there. I will never forget the season he had. 101 for many slates.
Yeah.
Last year for no effing reason. I think Roto Fire, for whatever reason, really fucking likes him. Like for the projections dailies, makes no sense.
Yeah, I tacked him on once last night with Matt Chapman, and it kind of felt gross. Willie Adames is going to man shortstop every single day now after signing that deal. I think there's probably some backdoor path to playing time and sort of thing, but yeah, I mean, he's not going to project very well, so the projection bros won't get there.
One more. Sorry, go ahead, and then I have one more.
Oh, I could do names for days down here, Nez, because I'll just tell you guys I've already drafted. Like, I've done some cheeky Connor Norby back stacks where he leads off every day. He was part of that trade. Nolan Gorman with like just chasing that dream of 25 home runs from a lefty with big ISO. Estrada burned everyone last year, but now he just becomes the Brandon Rogers replacement in Colorado. What if he just hits second every single day for Colorado? Like, yeah.
You know who I'm slowly, maybe I'll never get there. You were asking me who are the Reds back stacks, and I just said, roll again, try again, shake the Magic 8 Ball one more time. Well, Gavin Lux. Lux for the Reds. They are talking about him being like super utility and just like finding ways for him to play as often as possible. I mean, what a park upgrade, man, for Gavin Lux, and the Reds lineup is really not bad at all.
Yeah,
there's a chance Gavin Lux has a little bit of a resurgence. Change of scenery. LA, there was so much pressure on him. He's a trade piece for the biggest names in baseball for a long time. Now he goes to absolutely no pressure whatsoever to Cincinnati, Kentucky, and gets to just hitting the smallest park in baseball and makes some magic happen.
It's weird that we thought 2 years ago that the Reds had like this huge log jam and they had to get rid of Jonathan India and all this sort of stuff, and then they just bring in more log jam pieces with like Austin Hayes, Gavin Lux, Candelario, like all this sort of thing, right? Yeah, I like some of the names in the chat. Like, yeah, you could. I've done this one a couple times here. Noelvi Marte. I'll die on the hill that it sounds different coming off his bat. You guys have heard me say that a bunch there. And then Christian Encarnacion Strand. Like, think they're fine backstacks there. Davis proving that he's not just a football bro. Took Gavin Lux this morning. Respect. Matt Shaw. I mean, yeah. Now that they didn't sign Bregman, like Chicago at bats, like. Yeah, him and Michael Busch look way more interesting to me.
They really want to. They keep flirting this Justin Turner signing, though.
Yeah, they did sign him.
They did finally sign him.
It's official. Yeah, they like a 1 year, $8 million or something like that.
I don't love that for Shaw.
No, yes, that's a good shout.
Do not love that at all.
Yeah, 40-year-old Justin Turner signing. Justin Turner,
because like Suzuki's playing DH,
right? Yeah, Justin Turner played 139 games last year. Would have slammed the lower,
and he wasn't even bad,
right? Oh yeah, no, he
wasn't even bad.
And dude, he can actually still play third base like a little bit. Like, he's not a good defender anymore or whatever, and he's better suited to just rotate at first base and be like a weak side platoon guy at first base. but like it's just interesting.
Yeah, I have trouble evaluating defense if I don't like watch you play a lot.
Right.
So I just like mostly just go off like what Fangraph says.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, does defense really matter? Does defense matter that
It depends
much?
who you ask.
I mean, yeah. If you ask the D-backs, they'll say yes, it matters a ton. But
right.
They just on Perdomo.
There were some other good ones in the chat here. I'm off the Luis Garcia stuff, but I can see why people are on it. I've seen the Alvarez shout a couple times. He's changed his swing, and he's talked about how he's changed his swing, and that go listen to Rates and Barrels. They did one of the episodes on it, and they were talking about how he was changing his swing. So there might be something there.
Francisco?
Yeah.
Will he DH?
I mean, like, they might be too deep to let him DH this year. Let's ask roster resource.
Big dailies guy.
Yeah. All right, let's do it. Let's ask roster resource what they think. They're just gonna have him at catcher. I love that the projection models are down on Vientos, confirming my priors. Jesse Winker, there we'll get to him as a scroll the Eff down in the outfielder stuff. Tacked him on a couple times there. Yeah, Francisco Alvarez, still only 23 years old, former like big time prospect. They have him catcher, 7 slot. Outside looking in for Starling Marte potentially. So DH lefty Winker. Winker can still give you a little bit in the outfield, but I don't know. Nimmo also has this looming plantar fasciitis issue that like they want to give him more DH days and that sort of thing. So they could do like Winker and Nimmo, but they're both left-handed. Who's the right side for that? They got rid of Harrison Bader, so Tyrone Taylor, low-key lefty killer, not to like the same extent. Yeah, I mean, maybe he could have DH days. Former Mariner Luis Torrens goes into catch, and then he has like a DH day where Nimmo stays in versus lefties, and yeah,
maybe like 130 bullish projection for games played.
Yeah. Anyways, that was a fun little exercise to think through the Mets for half a second. Yeah, there you go. Julian doubling down on the same thing. We know he knows the Mets.
He sure does.
Mountcastle with the walls in a little. I like that shout. I was a Mountcastle guy last year. I'll run it back. Nate Lowe is literally my least favorite click on the board right now. Andrew Vaughn is fine and projects like he's going to get 600 plate appearances. So he's going to project like pretty well as an accumulator at the back end there. But I think people will want to stack him with Luis Robert. And the bull case for Luis Robert, in my estimation, is that he gets traded. So unstacked Andrew Vaughn is probably better than stacked. Yeah. Anyways, we went deep down the rabbit hole there. Any last names you want to shoot from the hip? I mean, like Wilson Contreras was one you said earlier that you want to get more of. He's not really a scroll, but just a target for you. Yeah, anyone else you want to just mention?
No, I don't think so. I think we can move on to outfield.
Okay. Jorge Polanco. I mean, they brought him back. He talked about Eno talked about it, something about his eyes and stuff and adjusting to the park and this and that. So might see a little, he played way better in the second half than the first half. So might be a little something there still to unlock, but it's one of the worst places to hit on planet Earth. All right, Nezzy. Hit me with it. Outfielders that are your top 3 drafted thus far.
Number 1 for me right now is wow. I was not expecting this name.
He's learning about himself in real time.
I was not expecting to see Jeez, Chase. Well, Jordan Walker is Jordan Walker's number 2.
Nice. He's number 4 for me.
Yeah, I don't love it. I don't love it at all. But I think I think they have no choice but to let this dude just swing it out. And if it doesn't work, he's going to try his hardest. It's Chase De La Torre, number 1 outfielder for me right now.
Made Pete draft him yesterday dude, you know what's going on here? Oh, why did I put in Class A? You know what I'm learning about you, Nez, is you have 2 Scroll the Eff Down hidden gems right now that you've been keeping under your vest from the people here, and you draft them every damn draft, and that's why you don't like the Scroll the Eff Downs at Infield, is because you just draft these 2 in the last 2 rounds, and your infield's already full. So
basically,
sell me this pen on Chase. Where does the playing time come from? What's his profile like? Why do you like him?
I don't think they're going to have a choice but to play this guy.
Okay.
If he's been banged up in his minor league career, which is sort of what's kind of like slowed him down. But I mean, draft. What year was he drafted? I think drafted in 23.
Okay.
Out of
22 first round pick.
Okay, from George. Where the fuck? What's the purple
James
school?
Madison.
I always forget. James Madison. Thank you. I was like George Mason, James Madison. I mean, just incredible bat to ball skills. This dude walks more than he strikes out, and he's slugged over. Let's see here, over 500. Around like 450, projected to slug like over 400. So like not bad. Just seems like a very, very transferable skill set to the majors if and when he gets his shot. The power isn't like great. I think over the course of like 162 games, you could probably project him for like 18 home runs, like, bullishly. But the skills I just think are so evident for this guy that he's just going to blast through the minors if he is able to stay healthy. And I just look at the Guardians and I don't see a whole lot holding them back right now. Go ahead.
I got a comp. Lefty in Cleveland too. De La Torre.
Okay.
De La Torre. All right. De La Torre. I got a comp. It might be lazy. It might be recency bias. Evan Carter with a little more pop.
Sure.
Not bad, eh?
I'll take it. Good Evan Carter, of course.
Yeah, good Evan Carter from like the playoff run. Evan Carter and half of last year, or a third of last year. Huh.
So right now, Will Brennan is the lefty.
That raw power 55 and the future value 50. Like future value 50 is kind of like hard to come by on Fangraphs.
Yeah, and I think that's a little conservative too. People that I've talked to that no ball, so to speak, and so it's present value raw power 50, future value raw power 60, present value game power 40, future raw power 60. He's 6'3", 235.
Right. That's a big beefy baseball boy that might not even be beefy.
So, yeah, man, I'm just very much into Chase, man, and thinking that he's gonna end up being on the major league roster more than it's basically just a huge bet that the projections are way off on this guy. He's got a bit of a goofy swing if you watch him, like kind of a short little swing, but just very, very skilled as far as bat to ball.
Left-handed, lefty. Is this him pitching? It looks like he was.
No, I think it's just the top prospects. And he's probably in it.
That looks like he's on the mound. Cool, dude. All right. I'm getting woke here. I'm learning ball.
So that's apparently my number one outfielder so far.
Okay. Well, you're finding yourself some scrolls, and I respect it, dude. This is some ball knowing at the back end of drafts that people are gonna have to fall in line with. Let's see here. I'm looking through this lineup. Obviously, they made the Lane Thomas trade last year. Kyle Manzardo can't hit lefties to save his dick, but should be in there for first base or DH like every single day near the top of the lineup. There's a guy who's a scroll the F down that nobody's clicking on yet. They got Big Christmas on the bench there. Kwan's going to lead off every day. I mean, I guess the playing time has to come at the expense of Will Brennan or Big Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah. And like Will Brennan, I don't really fear. And
sure.
Big Christmas, he's righty, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, he's a righty, so like he could potentially, platoon opposite side of him. Big Christmas, great story last year. We'll see how he does how he does next year because
okay.
Yeah, he sort of came out of nowhere.
Easy saying that MLB has him even a slightly better prospect than Fangraphs did. He looked pretty good on Fangraphs. That's pretty good. Bobby Witt hairstyle. Charles doing the deep dive for us. He's got the Bobby Witt curly in the back. Love it. Yeah, Zach Bean, big speed guy, future Colorado guy. Where did he end up? Is he Arizona now?
No. He's still a Rocky.
He's still a Rocky. Okay.
Yeah, he had like a really slow start to his career, and then had a nice season last year overall, or a better season overall. Struggled at AAA, but he's had some pretty big spikes. But as far as major league goes, I worry.
Yeah. Yeah, Timmy, this is a good question that I think a lot of people will be asking. Like, is it ridiculous to draft both platoon guys? Yeah. Like, you just can't burn 2 roster spots on like 300 and 300 at bats. You have to make the bet with your last pick or your second last pick that a platoon guy is going to win the job and like find his path to playing time. Because there's this crazy thing about playing time, guys, is it always works its fucking self out if the player's playing well. It's crazy. I don't know. It's not like football where it's like, hey, look at how electric this running back is, but he's not going to get goal line touches. In baseball, if a guy's playing well, they get playing time. Like, it's just, they'll find spots for these guys, right?
Yep. Every time.
Okay, Nez, Chase and Bubba, that's your whole portfolio, apparently. Basically. Who are your other 2 or 3 highest owned? We both had Walker up there. I had him at 4. You had him at what?
2.
2. Okay, so Walker was next for you, and then give me another couple of high-owned ones for you through your first 30 drafts or so.
Playing the hits with Matt Wallner.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, just hoping the playing time can be more consistent this year because he's one of the hardest hitting hitters in baseball. A lot of power. Don't think they'll have a choice. Personally, but they do love the platoon, so it sucks. But
yeah, they love to platoon and they love to lift guys early. That was always the biggest thing. Was even the days he was starting, he'd only get 2 at bats and then they'd lift him and like stuff like that, right? Which doesn't bode as poorly for our games. It was more like when we were playing the daily stuff. But they got rid of Max Kepler. Max Kepler now a Philly, so that alleviates a little bit of stress. They got Trevor Larnach, but they're both left-handed. Brooks Lee isn't on the roster, but could find his way onto the roster. Jose Miranda and Harrison Bader, both right-handed bats off the bench, and Ty France. So yeah, there's a little bit there that could be a little scary to Matt Wallner, but no reason to think he shouldn't be the starting right fielder at the beginning of the season. It's just whether he can maintain and hold off late inning switches from Harrison Bader and such.
Yeah, it's a little scary, but I think the ceiling is pretty obvious, like on a week to week basis for Wallner. So that's why. And then Blade, another one for me.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, very much into Blade with my Oakland stacks. Lawrence Butler, not far down that list, but ahead of Lawrence Butler is Mike Trout at 26%.
Oh, baby. He's drinking the John Kool-Aid. We're fucking back. Welcome to the club, Nez.
Yep.
Mad respect, dude. Mix in a little Corey Seager just in front of him. But I'm glad you've done this.
Dude, Trout being open to right field and DHing, it has to be a good sign. Has to be a good sign.
It has to be.
I refuse to believe it isn't.
All right, Nez. I got a little bit of playing the hits in here.
Okay.
I got a little bit of guys that I really like. First one on my highest exposed list is a potential 2020 candidate, Josh Lowe. Josh Lowe, baby, come on down. We are playing the hits with these middle outfielders that we're getting overexposed to. Josh Lowe, don't call me Lau, and Nolan Jones. I'm buying bounce backs from two younger-ish dudes with profiles that are 2020 potentials if they can just stay in the lineup every single day. So those are the two my two highest owned at like 40, and then we go down to 32 for a first round pick, Nez. I am getting over the field. I'm getting overexposed to a first round pick here. Care to venture a guess at who this player might be?
Is it Jordan?
It is Fernando Tatis Jr.,
Nice.
my friend.
There you go. Good stuff, dude.
I am getting over the field on Fernando Tatis Jr. That team is built to win now. He's been healthy for a decent stretch there. I see everything in Fernando Tatis Jr. that everybody saw in Ronald Acuna. Outside of the high upper echelon, he's never going to get to that 40, 70, 50 steal benchmark, but I don't think there's any reason he can't go 30-30 and have an upside of 40 home runs kind of thing.
This is like his first normal off season in like 3 years, correct?
Yeah, the steroids, the motorcycle crash, and the broken wrist. And now we are hitting our prime at 27-ish here. Yeah.
Yep. Freshly 26, John.
Freshly 26. There we go.
No, I love Fernando Tatis Jr. I don't take him ahead of Kyle Tucker.
Okay.
But I do take him ahead of Carroll and Jordan.
Yeah, respect it, man.
16% Fernando Tatis. The only reason I don't have more is because I'm starting to mix in Ellie because like I'm atoning for my sins. So I'm taking some Ellie. I'm taking Bobby Witt. But I think Tatis, man, the spikes for Tatis are just so obvious. He has some speed, 20 stolen base upside. I think he has, at his peak. This is bullish, but I think peak 45 home runs for Tatis Jr.
Baby, right-handed power doesn't play terribly in that part.
The median, like these are not ceiling projections. When you look at the green projections on Fangraphs, the median projections have him like 37, 32, 38, 37. So, we're talking 75 percentile, 80 percentile outcomes. I think he can get there. And it just, to me, another year older, again, the most normal offseason that he's had in like 3 years.
Didn't have to learn a new position. They moved him positions like 3 times in his career.
Also, yep. So, man, I love Tatis.
Barrels. Yeah, I love it too, man. I'm really happy that I'm kind of making a stand here. I'm Davising it up, and I'm standing for something out here.
It's so fun to have first round stands in best ball. There's nothing more boring than like 10%, 8% on everybody in the first round. It's so cool to have a stance in the first round. Like, just take it from me. It felt like I didn't win anything having all that, Bijan, but just knowing
you were right. That's what we play.
It's so cool to have a big bag on on a stud. Like that's just cool.
Here's one other big thing, and Noah beat me to it in the chat there. Padres get Rockies too. The last 2 weeks, Nez, of the playoffs here. Baltimore at home, which isn't the greatest thing in the world for 3 games, but then they go at Coors for 3. Then they get the Reds at home, and then they get the Rockies at home again for 4. You play the Rockies 7 times, who have arguably the worst bullpen and worst. Actually, they got a couple nice arms back there. We'll talk about another day, but they arguably will have the worst bullpen and worst starters in all of baseball, and you get them for the last 7 games of our contest, and they're broken apart by 2 weeks. So you can score in Colorado for 3, and then in the second week of the finals, boom, 4 games with the Rockies in the second week to score. I'm fucking digging me some Slam Diego.
Yeah, that's all I needed to hear.
All right, let's do a couple Scroll the Eff Downs. This is an absolute marathon show. Let's do a couple Scroll the Eff Downs at the outfield position. There was one question in the chat that I do think is a very telling to the landscape question that we kind of addressed yesterday, where we said, the outfielders in this next range, in this 17, or kind of, I guess it's Santander's kind of a line in the sand for people. And it's basically Wood down to Trout, that like everyone feels like these kind of like guys are pushed up a little bit, and the infielders are better picks in that range. I'll just ask you, like, blanket in this range, is it a place that you're trying to prioritize outfield? Are there guys you like? Are you doing the Oatmeal Reynolds thing? Like, what are you thinking in this kind of clump between Wood and Green? Are you pushing Trout over it? Like, what do you like?
Yeah, I'm not taking a lot of these. Well, I am taking a lot of Ian Happ. I am doing Ian Happ
like
this
Happ.
year. I think the Cubs, the Cubs are pretty damn good right now.
They're one of the most polarizing projections for like win totals and stuff between where you look. A lot of people, a lot of models view them very differently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I lean on the bullish side for the Cubs. Ian Happ hitting leadoff too, most likely. Yeah, very much into him. I don't have a lot of Brian Reynolds right now, so maybe I'll get there later. As I realize I maybe want to have some more Reynolds to root for, but not necessarily there on Reynolds. Not a lot of Michael Harris. I really like Spencer Steer. I think I like Spencer Steer more than Reynolds and Harris. I don't have a ton of Steer right now though, because of Trout. And I think James Wood's ceiling is extremely, extremely high. I'm just scared. I'm scared.
Yeah, likewise. I'm scared there too. I'm scared of like the price tag associated with it, with like the Wood, Cruz, and like Wood, Dylan Cruz, and CJ Abrams being like bad baseball team priced so far up at like kind of their ceiling outcomes already, that like we're all expecting them to all take the next step, in unison.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I won't gloss over as quickly there is, Michael Harris, I really poo-pooed on him the last 2 years, where he wasn't worth the ADP and he was propped up because of the Atlanta ties and half a good season and getting the bag there. His ground ball rate was like atrocious, but like he hits the ball hard, and if he can ever start lifting it, like he could do some big time damage, especially in that lineup. And we know he can run a little bit. So I do leave the light on for Michael Harris to outperform his ADP, probably the biggest out of this group, but I'm still not like jumping up and down to take him, because I think it's almost just as easy that they could figure out that, hey man, Jurickson Profar at the top of our lineup is working out better for us. And, Michael Harris becomes the 8 and 9 hole hitter again, just as quickly as he became the leadoff hitter once Acuna comes back.
Yeah. Man, I don't know what to do with Michael Harris.
Yeah.
I'm just like very much at a loss. I mean, first 2 seasons were so good for him. And projections think that he's going to slug over 450. Some of the more rosy ones have him at 480. If Michael Harris is slugging 480, then he's just an absolute smash.
What are they?
Yeah.
If he slugs 480 and he's doing that when he comes back, when Acuna comes back, Acuna leads off and he hits second.
Well, he was living the seventh and sixth last year.
Right.
That's what I mean. Yeah. So like, I don't know that he hits second. Yeah. I don't think that he does. Yeah. Does it really matter? I don't know. If the results are, if the results are good, who cares? But
sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I might end up getting some more Michael Harris in my life.
He's a very interesting profile. Like it's if he could start lifting the ball, because he hits the ball hard, right? And he can run a little bit, and he's on one of the best lineups in baseball, and he's probably going to be leading off for 2 months or a month and a half at the very least. Yeah. Anyways. Okay, Nez, I kind of erased all those other ones. Let's talk about the true sicko Scroll the Eff Down guys down here. Obviously, your highest owned outfielder needs to stay on the board for this one with Chase. But some of the guys at like the very bottom when you go dumpster diving, anyone of interest to you?
Ooh, Max Kepler for the Phillies.
Yeah, you think he's going to be more than a platoon guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think just for what you get in Philly with Kepler, if we get health and we get a bullish playing time, that lineup is a hell of an upgrade from Minnesota. So he benefits a lot from being in that lineup and being in a park that plays pretty nicely for left-handed power. So yeah, I'm definitely excited for Kepler. By park factor for lefties, Philly Citizens Bank is the second best for home runs.
Nice. Okay, good shout. That's a good one there. I found myself doing the Heston stuff, some bullish reports that he could break with the team this year. I don't know. He could be trade bait. He could be good. I have no idea, but it's just a lazy backstack option for the Baltimore stuff. Touched on Jesse Winker. I expect him to be hitting somewhere between 4 and 6 most days for the Mets when they're facing a righty. So he had a nice bounce back year last year. So I don't think it's a bad click, but primarily stack only for me. Yoshida was a guy that I've been clicking a little bit. Reports that he came in pretty good shape here, looks bigger. Could be just another guy in the middle of that order that's an accumulator.
I have no idea what they're going to do with Yoshida.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that lineup shakes out in a big way. It's like they can't really move them because of the money, I don't think. So I don't know. Maybe you got to just watch the Baseball is Dead guys and, Section 10, and they'll be fully tapped in on Red Sox and know what they're going to do. But like, yeah, he's a major roadblock right now for getting like Roman Anthony on this team or getting at bats for one of the infielders to move to DH and then getting another guy like Christian Campbell out there or something like that, right?
Yeah, it's tricky.
Yeah. Yeah, let's keep rolling here. Trevor Larnach could hit in the middle of that lineup every single day and could be, a less powerful version of Matt Wallner. So he's a guy I've mixed with the stacks a little bit. I'm scared about Dodgers playing time guys, but like Pages and Outman, that sort of thing, if they find a way in, could be very valuable, and they could be contrarian Dodgers pieces as scroll down. Jordan Beck and Hunter Goodman as Colorado like one-offs. Yeah, he's one guy away from being one guy away is perfectly put. But the Dodgers do have the oldest roster in all of baseball, so I do think that's noteworthy. Yeah. Anyone else that you've drafted or thinking about down here?
I think if you're really, really dumpster diving, and I mean like really dumpster diving. Two guys that I would throw out for Matt Vierling for the Tigers. He's gonna play a lot. I think the playing time projections are just like flat wrong on him because he plays like multiple positions, and I think they will find a way to get him in more. I mean, he played. Listen to this: 57 games in center field, 51 games at third base, 36 games in right field, 13 games in left field, once at first base. Like he's super utility. They're gonna find places for him to hit. I think the playing time is safe, and the Tigers are trying to win. They made some quote unquote upgrades with Torres there, and getting Colt Keith another year playing here. Vierling at outfield, you can do worse, man. He's an average major league hitter. It's kind of what you're looking for with the outfield when you're dumpster diving. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, and I am, I'm serious. Sal Frelick, going back to Sal Frelick.
Sure,
he's going to play a lot for Milwaukee. And when you're taking back end outfielders, like you just need to be realistic with what you are getting, which is, you're either looking for some upside or just like guys that can hit a lineup every once in a while and get you across the finish line through the regular season. So it's not pretty back here. That's why people take outfield early. But I mean, John, I would argue as soon as you get to like ADP 170, you're dumpster diving and you might not know it.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree with you in a big way there that like, once you're in this range, it's kind of like just get scrolling to guys that other people aren't taking. Dude, I'll leave the light on for a little. Luke Rayleigh, like, did it in a bad park last year. They need the left-handed power in the lineup. He can run a little bit, like 900 points, and playing every day is not terrible back here. I've done the Chas McCormick bounce back narrative once or twice. He's he's less roadblock than he's ever been in his entire career for playing time, and they're going to need a little bit. Austin Hayes kills lefties and is in a great park to play. He could find his way to every single day there. And just to prove that I can keep my Scroll the Eff Down card here, we got there Jair Encarnacion, baby. Took him last night at the tail end of a draft there as a international free agent who can hit the ball pretty hard there for the Giants and find his way to some playing times. Yeah. Anything else you want to say here? Joe Adell's still young. I mean, I've been burned too many times. I mean, Tommy Phan's always underappreciated, and then he ends up crushing for like 3 weeks and then gets traded somewhere at the deadline as a platoon guy. Walker Jenkins, I don't think comes up this year. I think he's a year away. You think he comes up?
I'm not so certain on him. Okay. I was gonna say, you know what, like +1 for Joe Adell. He's playing center or is it gonna be Mickey Moniak?
I think it'd be Moniak, but I don't definitively know. I haven't seen any reports after they talked about the Trout stuff.
I think we should definitely, at least just like give a round of applause for Moniak for putting up 20 and 15 and cutting the K rate to 28%.
Yeah.
I mean, he was unplayable for a while and became playable.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'll definitely take some Joe Adell this season.
Okay. Respect it. Looking at the Moniak stuff there, and then the Joe Adell we will add to the list. Yeah, 20 and 15, cut the K rate. Beautiful.
That was his big issue, is he was striking out half his ABs for a while.
Yeah.
And he did it over the sample size of 115 games too, so.
115 last year?
115 games he played.
That's pretty good. All right, Nez, I'm hopping into Dinger right now. The long awaited, this is going to be John Boy's 30th Dinger. All fast for me.
John, I need to eat.
Yeah, you do you. I'll rip the Dinger.
I gotta eat something, man. I'm sorry.
You gotta do it.
I'm starving. My mom is here. She's gonna think I'm avoiding her.
Oh, she's still there?
Yeah. She's here like all week. Yeah. This is the episode that the people deserved after the good news. So salute to everybody. Good luck, John. I can't wait to see what this team looks like. Get a couple of my guys. Get a couple of my guys in there for me.
All right, peace, Nez.
All right, see you guys.
Kicking off the draft, 2 hours in. Let's go. That's what the people really needed right there. Oh. Joined 15 minutes ago. Assumed you already ripped the Dinger off the start. That's good. Garrett Mitchell, yeah, man. Garrett Mitchell's gonna have the opportunity to hit in the middle of that lineup. Mr. Give Boys, get your Mr. Give Boys in the chat. He knows what time it is too. I think he's feeling the same way Nez is feeling. Right there. Yeah, MJ Melendez, okay. I'm fine with it. All right. Cheese in the 101. Take Shohei Ohtani. I'm going to go ahead and take Aaron Judge. Nez noted those spike weeks. He said we have to stand for something. Yeah, did you see that little note underneath? He's likely to move to right field as well. Likely moving back to right field. I've seen the writing on the wall with staying healthy and the value in it. Guys, if you've made it this far, you clearly like the BadgeBros, you clearly like baseball. Do us a favor, hit the like, hit the subscribe, notification. 350 of us still hanging out. If you happen to be on the X side, jump on over to the YouTube side. Please and thank you. We're going to be around. We're going to be around for a little bit now. Shout out to the good people at Underdog, Black and Yellow Dog app. Taking care of their talent. We got Bobby Witt Jr. going there. Turbotron standing for something yet again. We saw him yesterday. He took Jose Ramirez nice and early, so he ain't scared. Fernando Tatis Jr. at 11. Love it. Jaron Duran getting the jump up to 5 there. He's a guy that we haven't talked about a lot. We were early on him. We were big fans of him. We got him, we got him right 2 years ago or whatever it was, or almost got it right. We were a year too early. But yeah, I'm not doing that. He's not a big target for me at the back end. I'm trying to take bounce back Julio over him right now. Luis Rengifo for Infield. Definitely had some potential last year. He was definitely viable in the daily streets before he was out for the season at the tail end there. Let's see what they're doing on Fangraphs with him. They got him hitting second, playing second base. Yeah, hitting behind Taylor Ward and in front of Mike Trout and Jorge Soler. That could bode well. Hockey Hooligan gets that little Met stack going on there. Ellie over here. Vlad, a guy that we didn't talk about, but we put on the cover yesterday. I tweeted something yesterday with Baseball is Dead guys. We're starting to debate on whether it was, would you rather sign Kyle Tucker or would you rather sign Vlad? I think I'd rather sign Vlad. Matt Olson seems like an easy one to stack here. But let's have some fun. I don't take a ton of Wyatt Langford. I don't take a lot of Wyatt Langford. Not that I don't believe in him necessarily. It just feels like you're buying the ceiling after, what wasn't his best start or best year last year. I mean, this is a weird range of the draft board because I think everyone gets a little stack happy. I was going to set up this Wyatt Langford and then Corey Seager and scroll for it. But now I wish I took Matt Olson. And then we could have done like the Olson-Ozuna stack instead. I'm going to pivot off my plan and see if we can get Seager to come back now and take Matt Olson. I really like Matt Olson. I don't think he should be going this far down. Blake's asking where we got Tatis ranked. I think there's like a couple tiers. I think the first tier of the top 4, kind of the way it is right here, flip-flopping Soto and Bobby Witt is kind of like the chalk. And then you kind of start this next tier And I'm in the same camp as Nez, is like, I don't want to be fully out on Ellie, so I keep Ellie up there. But then Jordan and Tatis for me, I have over the Kyle Tucker and Corbin Carroll tier. Corbin Carroll's a really good baseball player. You know, he's very reliant on the speed. He's got two different types of swings to go with it. Yeah. I don't know what to say about Corbin Carroll. He's come on later in the season both times. Like, I think he's very good. It's really hard to poke holes in profiles like up here, right? It's just, if I'm looking at who the best potential raw hitter in all of baseball with 50 home run upside is, it's Yordan Alvarez. Like, he's probably just like the best pure hitter in baseball. And then Fernando Tatis Jr. has like fringe 40-30 ceiling that like Carroll like is the other way. It's 20-40, and I'd rather take the upside of the power in the first couple of rounds. Go Cards asking if BBM is if it's you're happy to get one team to the finals, kind of like BBM. Well, it's a lot smaller than BBM, so I'd like to have more than one team. We managed to get one team to the Dinger finals last year, and we were holding on to that top spot for the first week, and then Sam Olson took over with Brent Rooker. There, we were in the top 5 for a while last year through the first week of the Dinger. But yeah, I think that team, I can't remember where it ended up finishing, in the 50s and 60s, 100, maybe something like that. Yeah, like Sam always does. He bests me and then takes over. Corey Seager getting the bump up in this one with Nick in the lobby. Interesting start from Nick, going with 3 infielders there. Something I haven't experimented with, but if I was going to pick 3 to do it with, he picked 3 pretty good ones to do it with. Tax on Mike Trout there. That's a high upside start in a big way. I like that. Julio is a guy I was buying a little bit of bounce back on, and I've been taking over this. Like, he's kind of like my line in the sand for outfielder. Riley Green. Nimmo, I'm never a Nimmo guy. Like, I don't know. Nimmo's fine. He's like a glorified accumulator in my opinion, and the plantar fasciitis stuff kind of scares me. But this whole range of like outfielder where they get pushed up, you can just poke holes in all of them. Hockey Hooligan ruins one of our potential stack options there. We get a Spencer Steer quote unquote fall here. Doesn't really matter to me. I just kind of like keep building what I want to build. I haven't taken a ton of Jazz Chisholm, but I do see the ceiling in a big way there. Let's go ahead and stack him up with Aaron Judge with our first one here. Give this guy a full season of at-bats in Yankee Stadium with left-handed power there. Knock the strikeout rate down a little bit and play against lefties, and you could be absolutely cooking with Jazz. Nez would love me to take Lawrence Butler and set up some backdoor Oakland stuff. I kind of prefer stacking Ozzy Albies or Marcus Semien, but they're kind of boring, like accumulator types with like a little bit of ceiling. They're kind of volume merchants. Let's do it for Nez. Let's take Lawrence Butler. One of the biggest spike weeks we saw all season last year was the last 2 weeks from Lawrence Butler. Justin got carried away. He's only got 10 Dinger drafts left. What a beauty. Unbelievable. Well done. Very impressive. Wow. Yeah, in a big way here. AZ cards, go back and watch the first 20 minutes of yesterday's show with Pete. We talked about it a lot and talked about a lot of the like entry level rules and basic understandings for parallels between football and baseball. Yeah, because basically it is the equivalent of pissing yellow in both contests is pissing yellow. Yeah, Michael Conforto at 223 feels decent. I mean, Conforto, as you guys saw when we were bringing up the chart earlier, had the huge spike week in week 1 of last year, and everyone thought Conforto was back. Never been a beacon of health. Yeah, he's going to be probably buried in that lineup, and they're going to platoon him with Kike Hernandez versus like lefties and stuff like that. But age 32 Conforto in the last round to stack up with your Dodgers stuff, like you can definitely do worse, but it's not going to be like a big. He's not going to be like a huge smash, I guess. Like it's not like a ceiling chasing play. It's hope he does more than platoon and gets 500 ABs and plays 120 games or whatever, you know? It makes a lot of sense in your stacks, but I'd rather take Will Smith, so I leave the roster spot at infield to take Will Smith when I'm late in my Dodgers stacks. I think Tommy Edman versus Michael Conforto is like an interesting debate, and Tommy Edman goes considerably earlier because of the playoffs in which he had. All right, Brett Boy joined up to be a member today, so we're gonna hit him with it. He wants the 30-second take on the Four Nations rematch tomorrow. I'm excited, man. Like I'm excited. That was the most enjoyable hockey game I've watched in a long, long time. The fights to kick it off were wild. Even though it was premeditated, I don't care. Like that's just I'm old school like that. I love that nails bullshit. I love it. Yeah, I think the line changes that Canada made were a little too late in doing so. I kept screaming at the TV that they should have changed it up in the US game because Stone looks too slow to be out there with the top end speed guys, and so does Crosby at times. That being said, like you can't really move Crosby. I think putting Point with McDavid was very smart. I think you need Point speed. Yeah, but like just in general, like you know, like rah country and care. Like I don't like I want Canada to win obviously tomorrow night, but like I'm really just excited to see like the best in the world just go at it. A little bit of a shame that Quinn Hughes isn't gonna get the thumbs up to go. Okay, let's make this pick and then I'll carry on. This is kind of like that classic territory where I have a balanced start with 3 outfielders already. And if there's no stack partner, I start doing my pitching staff. And this is where I've been gravitating to the safety of Nola. Let's flip it up a little bit because I just basically haven't been doing Blake Snell because I push up Nola over this grouping. Let's do some weird things on this roster. Some guys I haven't taken before in Snell and Jazz Chisholm. So this is and Wyatt Langford. So this is kind of like a slightly unique build for me. Nick Castellanos, not the biggest fan in the world. He's fine. He's a good real life baseball player. I just don't see the same kind of like stealing outputs that other people see when clicking him. But I've been wrong on him before, and Chris will be the first to remind me on that. Let's get Nez's guy here. Let's scroll down to Michael King. I do think that Nola is a better pick. I do think that Nola and Sale are slightly better picks than Michael King. But we told Nez we would pay tribute to some of his highest owned players, and Lawrence Butler and Michael King are exactly that. And he was a big Wyatt Langford guy last year, so we'll go ahead and get that too. I was a big Blake Snell guy last year. 30 seconds is like 5 minutes of real time, and that's why it's first draft 2.5 hours in. Absolutely. USA rules. I mean, USA might roll. They might roll. They're a nice team, but Canada didn't have Cale Makar last time out. It's going to hurt that they're going to be without Charlie McAvoy, because I thought McAvoy really picked up the physicality in the last game, and that's not normally his MO at the blue line there. But he laid a couple nice hits and kind of like righted the ship after Canada scored first. Yeah, so I give me one sec. Oh, fuck these guys. Whatever. It's all good. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to see it. I hope Quinn Hughes gets the opportunity to play, but he is still in Vancouver, as my boots on the ground sources are telling me right now. So I don't think he's going to get that opportunity for them to mend the rules to get him in. It would require someone else getting sick, and yeah. Anyways, but best on best is fun as hell in any sport. Speaking of which, last night after I played puck, I started that Netflix US basketball show. Yeah, that was pretty good. I watched the first like 20 minutes of the first episode after my game last night, and I was like, this is pretty insightful and pretty good. And man, I just love the putting on for your country stuff. It's cool. Yeah, waiting for the phantom injury for Hughes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Like that was the phantom injury or illness was going to be a big thing. Aaron asking, am I worried about Los Angeles pitchers there, Dodgers pitchers, not getting 2 starts with Ohtani back in a 6-man rotation? Yeah, absolutely. Like in the biggest way. Like Dodgers pitchers outside of Glasnow have basically just like been low key moved down like 3 or 4 spots for me. Like they have some really good big league arms that are going to find starts this year. Like Dustin May's out of options and he's going to find starts this year. Bobby Miller was good in stretches and they need to see what they have in him. Yeah, we're back up here, guys. I like Luis Castillo. I like the home ballpark. I like the schedule in the postseason for the second week. Yeah, I think Luis Castillo, when we have like a little bit more of a fragile start here with Blake Snell in a 6-man, and we know the volatility of him, and we know there's a little bit of volatility in Michael King / he could be a trade candidate. So I like to tack on like my horse. I mean, Castillo could be a trade candidate too, if we're being real. But I like to tack on like the horse there. Don't love this range for some of these bats. I don't mind Tovar. Kind of out on Springer. Kind of out on Bochette. Don't really like Pete Crow Armstrong's anything really. I'm just not a Pete Crow Armstrong guy. Let's take Tovar and Apin on a little bit of Colorado stuff. Just because I find myself going back to the Colorado well all the time. Adley's nice little bounce back candidate who could hit second every single day, and the wall might help him. So we could have pushed up Adley there. People tend to do this like cheeky stack on this side of the board with like Westberg and Adley, or you wait for Jackson to come back to you. I keep clicking Royce Lewis, as I alluded to earlier, in this range, just because I see the ceiling potential. Yeah. But this is kind of where I feast on pitcher, is I start cranking purple as I did in this draft, like three in a row. I usually do 2 out of the 4 picks between rounds 6 and 9. That's kind of been my MO. A little more aggressive at the pitcher position than I know a lot of the people are right now. So yeah. Yeah, Vinny P, breakout candidate after the injury. I could definitely see that. He's more of like a stack guy for me, and I do it with like the Bobby. I do it with like the Bobby Witt stuff more so, and I don't love the Royals backstack options outside of Jonathan India. So for whatever reason, I just have certain guys that I just like kind of treat as one-offs. or street as stack onlys, and Vinny P should probably be on my list of guys that I should be incorporating more so. Dab saying finds himself picking between King, Pablo Lopez, Frammer, and Kirby. King, clear choice out of those. Nez would tell you King is the clear choice out of there. I like Kirby. I like the home ballpark. I like the schedule, that sort of thing. Pablo pitches in a good park too, but I'm a little bit down on him relative to these guys. I just see a little bit more ceiling with the strikeout rate stuff for King and Kirby in particular. Frammer, I mean, the ballpark's always going to scare me, but he does so much well with the ground ball rate to mitigate that, and him being left-handed. Like, yeah. Yeah, Brett Boyd just saying that like every year 2 to 4 Dodgers like pitchers get injured. I mean, like this is just their MO, man. They manage and cap innings so heavily with phantom IL stints. Like they got Clayton Kershaw, they re-signed him and they instantly put him on the 60-day, and they just manipulate the 40-man roster better than anyone else. It's kind of like the long-term IR spot in the NHL with that like Tampa and Vegas got away with for a long time. I was really hoping JJ Bleday came back there to honor Nez with our stack with Lawrence Butler. That was what I was targeting. I thought ADP would line up for us. It did not. Yeah, Turbotron, we'll see what he does here, and then we can start having some conversations. Easy told us that the Toronto workhorse aces are mispriced. So like Kevin Gausman, probably should be going a little bit higher than this. I agree with him. I'm pushing a Gausman over Schwellenbach. I'm concerned about Schwellenbach. I think I would normally just click Royce Lewis here and chase some ceiling, but I don't necessarily want to fully play the hits. Let's take Adley. And then we'll either take like switch hitting catcher with some power with the wall coming in, and one of the best lineups in baseball that he could be hitting second every single day in. We could either take Gausman here and add a 4th starter. We could take Royce and fill another infield spot, but I don't love that idea. We could add Jackson Holiday for a mini stack with Adley and anticipate a rise for him if and when he makes the roster out of spring. But he might come back to us too. Let's take Gausman. Here. I mean, like people are forgetting that like Jackson Holiday, just because he didn't have as good a year last year as like junior, or who else is like someone who's pushed up? Wyatt Langford, Jason Dominguez. Like everybody's chasing the Yankee dream and outfield eligibility and the Stanton injury narrative for like Jason Dominguez and like pushing him up here. Like from a profile standpoint, like Jackson Holiday should be pretty comparable to Dylan Cruz, Jason Dominguez, like this sort of stuff. And just because he had a rough stretch of up down last year, nobody's taking him, So, yeah. In or out on Logan Webb? I think Logan Webb is a good backdoor workhorse to start a staff with. It's a profile that like, good home park, ground ball monster, sometimes has some spike week strikeout games, but like, he's not going to break slates usually with like his performances. He's just like a good, consistent workhorse. He's kind of like discount Nola with like a little bit less ceiling. So I'm totally in on him and I like him, but he's not like a guy I'm jumping up and down to get overweight. It's all like profile based for me. So like if I'm chasing, what am I chasing in this isolated draft? Do I need an innings eater, or do I need, a moonshot, break the slate guy? Because if I'm chasing the moonshot, I'll push Strider above him for sure. But if I'm like, "Oh, okay, I got to start a staff. I'm still without a pitcher in round 8 or 9." Well, he feels like a good front end rotation guy that's like quote unquote safe, right? Like for me, baseball is so much like um building around like profiles, right? All right, what else we got here? Yandy goes there, projection darling. Michael Tolia going a little earlier than usual there. Takes away one of my stack partners for Tovar. Nick doing a cheeky little Detroit stack with Kerry Bonds and Parker Meadows. Shane McClanahan getting the push-up treatment now that they assume he'll be opening day starter. Don't mind that. I want to see some innings from him, though. I do want to see some innings from him. A lot of purple on this board right now. Carlos Rodon goes there. We get our wish here with Jackson Holiday coming back to us. I think we just go ahead and take this. I like the profile of Holiday, man. Like I think he's got big time skill set upside. Obviously, better to be left-handed than right-handed in that ballpark too. Let's take a look at the projected Baltimore lineup. It's not one that I've done a deep dive on yet, but I'd just be curious what roster resources thinking and if I agree with it or not. I haven't taken Rafaela yet. Cedric Mullins stacks, but he sits at the bottom of the lineup most of the time and might be platooned against lefties. I think I'm going to take Jack Flaherty here. I like the landing spot in Detroit. I like him back with a team that he's had success with in the past. It's a good home park. It's an amazing place to pitch for the first 2 months of the season when it's still a little cold out. So, yeah. All right, we've cranked some purple here. This is a 5-5-3 to start. We are going to get hung out to dry at outfielder, but this was kind of by design. We're using the first 2 rounds of anchor outfielders. I guess I could have taken Evan Carter there for a stack with Wyatt Langford, but chasing a Texas stack without, Seager, Berger, and Simeon feels bad. Or Adolis. That one kind of feels gross, but yeah. We're probably just gonna have a bunch of one-offs in terms of that stuff. Oakland has some backstack potential, but it's infield only, basically. We'll land this plane. But yeah, 5-5-3, Snell, King, Luis Castillo, Kevin Gausman, Jack Flaherty. It's a very strong 5 with high upside arms and then some bounce back high upside arms that are innings eaters too. I really like that staff. That is definitely the strength of this ball club right now. Olsen and Jazz for some ceiling. Tovar for the Colorado. Double little bounce back for Rutschman and Holiday, Baltimore stack. And then Judge, Langford, and Lawrence Butler. Outfield is considerably thinner than I'm accustomed to doing thus far in the draft. But yeah, not bad. Ryan McMahon goes there, taking another stack partner of mine away for the Colorado stuff. This guy is doing some hammering of Colorado early there. The Mile High Jabroni. Sick name. Love that. Webb's highest drafted. I respect it. Out on Vientos. Doesn't project that well. Wasn't a great prospect. Overperformed last year. Like he's a good real life baseball player on a good team who's going to hit in the middle of the lineup. And we saw, strong power metrics from him at times last year. you can't really shit on that too much. But like relative to the ADP right now, I'm out. Wow, Pavetta catching some steam here, getting all the way up to round 14. RIP 17th round Pavetta. Most volatile sport DFS wise. I was gonna say like with a bullet, like undoubtedly football, but and it's all because of like the sample sizes and like the cumulative knowledge of the community being like considerably higher than any other sport. I think it's time to just tack on my guy. We do really need to start thinking about outfield, but there isn't anything that's really jumping out to me right now. I'm going to just take Brandon Pfaadt here. Brian Wu would be the other target. So would Barrios. Barrios is safer, but I want a ceiling strikeout arm to go alongside these. We might be able to cap this pitching staff at 6 just because of the strength of it. Jock Peterson could be a platoon guy that stacks with Wyatt Langford, a guy I haven't drafted yet, admittedly. Stanton, I haven't drafted. I'm concerned about these elbow concerns, much like everybody else. Might be time to start scrolling here. Let's take Varsho. Don't love it unstacked. I think Varsho just has a profile that I like better than these guys that are going in front. Like Peterson's a big platoon guy. Stanton's already hurt. TJ Friedel might lead off versus righties, question mark. But there's a lot to parse through with that Reds platoon stuff. Willer Abreu is a great start when they're facing a righty and he's hitting towards the top of the lineup, but that's only like 20, 30% of the time throughout the ceiling. Conforto, 32 years old, on the oldest roster in baseball, where Outman and Pajes can just take his job instantly. Yeah, outfield got thin in a hurry, and we just got to start getting some profiles that we like. And Varsho, a little bit of speed, a little bit of power put together in a decent place for lefties to hit. I like. Got sniped on McMahon and Lowe, both 15 picks above ADP this room, man. Yeah, those were two of the guys that we were on. And I was trying to set up that Tovar stack with the Nolan Jones thing, and Jones went way ahead of ADP. And yeah, this is it's a war out here. Josh Lowe out here as well. Yeah, it's a tough room right now. Everybody's watching the stream. Everybody's hanging out. Everybody's thinking similarly. I mean, as soon as you see Pavetta going in the 160s, you know you're in hot water out here. So this is tough. Yeah, there you go. Just finishing the my room with Varsho Mini at 171. Apologies, man. Sniped it right in front of you. Shane's ADP went 3 picks after ADP. Okay. Yeah, McClanahan at 140, so it wasn't a push up. Yeah, he's SP 39 or whatever right now. Why'd Rafaela fall so far? I don't know. It's the guy that I don't know. Really hard to project playing time in Boston right now. Let's just say that. Do I think he's their best option in the outfield right now, particularly in center field? No, Duran's. No, I mean, no. It's hard to think through Boston playing time. Okay, let's check this out. Fangraphs with the Baltimore stuff. They have Ryan O'Hearn inverse righties there at DH. That will flip-flop with him and Mountcastle between first base and that sort of deal. They have Jackson Holiday penciled in as second base. as a left-handed player, batting ninth. Seems fine. They have Heston on the roster. He could be another left-handed platoon guy. They have a ton of lefties on this team. Switch hitter in Adley. Ton's going to hit in the middle of the order like every single day. Kowser's left-handed. He's going to be there most of the time. Yeah, I mean, like, you only got like 3 righties. We're back on the clock here. Stanton comes all the way back to us. We could just stack it up. Jordan Walker is gone, who I was kind of like hoping for. Let's scroll all the way the F down. Take Joe Adell. He's getting hyped up in the chat earlier. Let's have some fun. Start scrolling around here. Take Joe Adell. We can find a stack partner for him later. Edwards is a guy. Xavier Edwards is a guy that I haven't taken at all. Nico doesn't. I don't think Nico's going to be available to start the year here. We're going to get crazy with this roster, guys. We're going to have to get really creative out here. Let's do some Oakland stacking. Let's take Soderstrom. I like Soderstrom's power profile more than I like Zach Geloff. And I think there's a chance he gets every day at bats. Geloff's way safer, but let's have some fun. We're scrolling around. Nez is going to be like, what the hell did you do to this team? But Soderstrom, 23 years old with big pop, could play first base every single day. Left-handed guy. He's going to hit in front of Geloff in there. Yeah. There's one platoon partner that we could add to this too as a scroll the F down. We got really boxed out of targets that we like. So this is going to be a 6-7-7, which is probably going to be my first of that variety. But we just invested so much capital in the pitching staff early that we're going to have to take some dart throws with these last 3 picks here. Most likely going to be stack partner guys. We having fun. Get stacked on three Cardinals, all 20 picks above ADP. I mean, people are really gravitating to some of the same backstacks right now, and the Cardinals are a really easy one to do it with because Wilson Contreras is down there, and he's an easy one to start it with. And then you go Walker and the 3 outfielders, are all available down there. I don't know if they'll all be Cardinals by the end of the year, to be honest, but yeah, it's one of people's favorite backstacks right now. What else we got? Kikuchi feels nice in that range. Chasing that 2-start week in the finals for Kikuchi. Yeah, I mean, a big high strikeout rate guy, right? Swing and miss stuff. It's the profile of a guy that we chase in the daily streets. If we go, what do the Angels got? Angels have at Houston. Wow, Angels are one of the teams that have 14 games in the finals. They got 3 at Seattle to end, and they got 3 versus Minnesota. They play the Athletics and at Kansas City. At Kansas City, not a great place to pitch. We're not sure about the Athletics yet. They give up a lot of power, and they have some decent right-handed power. So that one's a little scary. And the Astros start isn't great, obviously. But if we're looking at a finals where you get that last week, 7 days, you get Minnesota and then you get at Seattle. That, man, if you get 2, you say Kikuchi starts at the end there, that would fuck. That would be big time. Nick taking Zach Neto here. A little worried about his timeline. Roster Resource doesn't have him on there. It said he'd be kind of ahead right now, but I'm a little skittish on him. I was considering him in my mind for the Joe Adell stack. Everybody kind of staying in their lanes with some of their targets and stuff. Who could we stack up here? We could do like Heston. Kierstad with the Baltimore stuff. That seems fine. Oakland, like we could add Shea Langeliers to this as our last outfielder. Feels good. Colorado, you can chase like Jordan Beck and Hunter Goodman. I don't hate that. Both power profiles, both outfield eligible. Let's take Heston. He could play himself into regular playing time. Yeah. Let's take Heston and make the bet on that Adley Rutschman plus Jackson Holiday stuff. Jackson Job going there. Came up at the tail end of last year. Let's go off the board here. Let's go for a Toronto stacking partner because I don't love Varsho as a one-off. And let's go to Andre Jimenez. They traded for him. They clearly like him. He definitely has like that 15 and 30 upside. Didn't see it last year. Yeah. Why not? Let's see where roster resource has Andre Jimenez set to hit. He's still young too, man. Left-handed power plays better in that park too. 26 and a half years old. They have him slotted in second base every day in the 7 hole. Okay. What's up with this? I don't see Dalton Varsho. They just haven't adjusted for him being back yet. All right. You could do worse. You could do worse in these late rounds. Shea Langeliers goes there. Christopher Morel goes there. The peoples out here are playing the hits. Carlos Correa is a good stacking partner there if you are the Royce Lewis drafter or the Byron Buxton drafter. I mean, that's one of those guys who could just be like, yeah. That could just be yeah, never mind. I was thinking through it. Luis Garcia for Dan. Nolan Gorman. We talked about the power profile of him. Tacking on Chris Bryant at Coors. I might go the younger direction. Clay Holmes there for Nick. These are some absolute ball knowers right now. Bubba Chandler going, a touching tribute to Nez there from Cowboy 5 Rings. Merrill Kelly. There's probably only one way to end this roster. Roman Anthony might go undrafted here. People getting a little skittish on the playing time. Let's double down on the Oakland stuff. Fuck it. I was gonna take Nez's boy in chase here, but I rather stack up at least 8 hitters. Let's take Seth Brown. He's usually just weak side platoon or strong side platoon, but he could find his way to everyday at bats like he did a couple years back. And he could just maybe be better than JJ Bleday or like the same. I mean, Bleday is probably a better baseball player at this point in their career, but like the career arcs aren't that far off. So if we're playing a weekly scoring game and we're looking for one isolated week where a guy hits a bunch of tanks, effectively he's just slightly older JJ Bleday with the power. Yeah. Volpe stack with Judge, hoping he hits near the top of the lineup. Yeah, I mean the Volpe bet is which version of Volpe are you going to get? Are you going to get last year's version or the year before's version? I also think Gleyber Torres being gone kind of helps Volpe a little bit there. He's not a guy I've been stacking a ton. But yeah. All right, guys. There it is. The marathon MLB show. Almost 3 hours. Crazy stuff. If you guys made it this far, hit the like, hit the subscribe, notification. Tell your friends. Underdog's keeping us around for another calendar year at the least. Very excited for that. My first 6-7-7. This is usually a build I reserve for when we are closer to spring training and we have known entities at the pitching. Because a lot's going to happen in spring. Velo down. This guy's nicked up. This guy's got a blister. This guy's got arm fatigue. This guy's got elbow soreness. A lot's going to happen in the next 3 weeks. And if I'm only building 6 pitchers, I want to have the most available information, right? And I want to know that at least all 6 are healthy going into the season. But I do think we took 6 good arms to do it with. A coupling of ceiling output and some workhorses. So we got the ceiling of Snell and King and Brandon Pfaadt in terms of strikeout rates. And then we got 3 perennial veteran workhorses in Castillo, Gosman, and Flaherty. So I like what we did from a balance perspective. Now this is where shit starts to get a little dicey. We got 7 infielders and 7 outfielders. We went with Matt Olson, Jazz Chisholm, Ezekiel Tovar, Adley Rutschman, Jackson Holiday, Tyler Soderstrom, and Andre Jimenez. As you guys can see, we scrolled the F down for our last 5 picks, all 224s or higher, just trying to show off for the chat kind of deal. But it's when we were looking at spike weeks earlier, when we're talking about the depth of the player pool, when we're talking about a difficult lobby here, you got to get some funky builds in here and just trust your own analysis of players, because the player pool is so much deeper than in football. There are guys down here that are going to get it done, man. Anyways, the outfield, Aaron Judge, Wyatt Langford, Lawrence Butler touching tribute to Nez, pushed up Varsho a little bit there in hopes of doing some Toronto stuff, and then kind of got cold feet. And I don't mind Varsho, but he's fine. I prefer him when I stack him with Vlad and the studs. Joe Adele, who the chat was giving some love, Heston Kiersey, and Seth Brown. My first Seth Brown share 20 homer potential in potentially a good park that is a contrarian stack on to the athletic stuff. Not my best team by any stretch of the imagination, but pretty fun. Pretty fun. Yeah. Crazy. Let's see here. Michael saying it's crazy that Roman Anthony went like 30 picks before ADP in the Dinger last night, and then he goes undrafted in ours today. I mean, that is just baseball in a nutshell, and why it is so fun to draft out here. This is why it is by far my favorite sport from a season-long perspective to draft, because you can tell yourself a story, and one room can all believe one story, and another room can believe a different story. Because the Roman Anthony, he might not sniff the big leagues this year, or he could be there every single day. Like it's very very polarizing, right? That stuff doesn't happen in other sports, so it's very good. All right, appreciate everyone. Keep this thing rolling. Spence Games, there you go, bros up, baby, for life. BadgeBros summer, can't wait, bro. Cannot wait. There it is. Back tomorrow. We will do a 9-game hoops slate with the help of good people at Unabated there. And then we will be doing maybe a little Four Nations talk, stuff like that for tomorrow. And then we will be doing football and basketball on Friday. So appreciate everybody hanging out. Hit that like, hit the subscribe, notification bell. Everybody's favorite time of the show. The end. Peace.